Welcome everybody to the Dave and Vinno show. Welcome back. And for this one, we decided we'd do a House of the Dragon Season 1 spoiler review. So spoiler warning. Drop the spoiler. Graphic Vinno. Boom, boom. There it is. There it is. Vinno.
Just got to remember
it might not be there. It could be, but if not, that's what's there instead.
I'm deliberately not putting it in now.
Yeah. Even if it's not, like, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with what we go with it.
With your sound effects.
You only finished it today, didn't you?
Man, I finished it. What's the time now? I finished it less than an hour ago. I watched the last episode.
Yeah, good. Be all fresh in your mind.
Very fresh. Very fresh. So
I love it. Well, here,
I'm looking forward to it. I am.
Yeah, like what we decided to do, just so we can, because we didn't do an episode by episode review. So this season we're going to do the season 1 review. And we'll go through the episodes and a couple of plot points to try and spark a bit of convo about them. But really, it'll be a season 1 all in one video, and then maybe next year or the year after or whenever we do, we can as they.
We'll keep up to date.
Yeah, Vinno. Vinno, did you, like, I guess before we get into like episode 1 and the preamble, what did you reckon? What do you reckon? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did you? How you feel?
By the end of it, because I binged a fair bit today, I was a lot further behind than what I actually thought I was. So I had a lot of watching to do. When I realised how far back I was like, "Fuck, we agreed to do this." So yeah, just binging it, I thought was a lot better than waiting week by week. I reckon I would have been frustrated watching it week by week.
Yep.
By the end of it, man, loved it. Loved what it's built up to do. I just hope they follow through with the hype that they've sort of built up, especially that last episode. The last few scenes, man, like really sets the precedence for next season. And but the build up to that as well, and a lot of the even the character arcs that have happened have been, pretty full on. We've seen that in Game of Thrones with the Hound. Even, he had a really interesting transition within his character, and you see that. And there's an episode specifically, when we get to it, I'll talk about it, where with Damon. Where he's
constantly blurring the lines, right? I mean, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy?
Well,
is there good guys and bad guys?
There's an episode in there, and I won't say too much just yet until we get into it, where you see a completely different side to him, and then it sort of sets a precedence for how he is towards the end. You see a lot of changes, even the way he acts towards his brother.
Oh yeah.
So it's a pretty big transition for him. But then you still see that bit of crazy towards the end, but it's
complex. They're complex characters.
They are
right?
complex characters. Yeah, and he is in himself. Even early on, he is a complex character. Like you said, you can't pick him. You can't decide.
You can't pin him down. You're like, oh, he's a bad guy, and then you're like, oh, but he did that. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But then he did that. That's bad. Fuck, I hate him now. Yeah. Then he does something else. And the biggest thing is with Damon is that he is like a fucking heartthrob now. There's all these chicks out there that fucking love Damon, and then you have other people that are like, well, he did this and he did this, and they're like, like they're trying to figure out ways to.
Well, he's gone from being from Doctor Who to being, the somewhat of the.
And Prince Philip, and
he's.
Well, he has. When I said, because I was looking forward to who they were going to get to be Damon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually a bit upset that they picked Matt Smith, to be honest with you, because I seen him in other stuff, and I'm like, Damon's supposed to be cool, dangerous, roguey, and Matt Smith just looks like fucking like Gordon Ramsay's son. You know what I mean?
But he has nailed the character, though.
Oh,
he has nailed that character.
Totally blew it away. He steals the scenes in everything he's in. I love Damon. But here, look, we'll get into that.
There's some great actors throughout the whole series.
Damon's not even my favourite character / actor in the series.
No.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we do our faves.
All right.
And through it all. But anyway, set the scene. So, season 1, begins approximately 200 years before the War of the Five Kings, which is Game of Thrones. So that's like Stannis, Renly,
the Starks.
That's Robb Stark. That's right. He's the third one. And who was the rest of them? Joffrey.
Yeah,
Joffrey's the fourth. And who's the fifth one? Is it fucking what's his name on Pike? Theon Greyjoy's dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Balon Greyjoy.
Yeah.
Because the Iron Islands.
Yeah, there are.
While Robb's away. Yeah, while Robb's away, going to King's Landing on the way there. Anyway, they go to Winterfell, don't they? On the Iron Islands.
Well,
anyway,
it's an unsolicited attack from them, but yeah.
Well, that's right. Well, it is kind of solicited in the way that Theon, like Ned Stark ages ago when they beat them at the Island of Pike a long time ago, and he took Theon from Balon. Like, there was always a rift between the Iron Islands and the Starks. And then when Theon went back to them saying, hey, I'd like you to help Robb, and he's like, but you were fucking stolen from me. You know? But anyway, we're getting too far into Game of Thrones. All right, but it's 200 years before Game of Thrones, or the events of that. It's 100 years after the Targaryen conquest, which united the Seven Kingdoms. So that's Aegon's conquest. And House Targaryen has reigned as the rulers of Westeros for 5 generations, and the number of dragons they possess has increased to more than ever before. Episode 1 starts. It's called Heirs of the Dragon. So I'll go through these little bits and let's just jump in. Okay, so I've got a couple of little points here of the first episode, but with the first one. With both sons dead, King Jaehaerys I Targaryen convenes a great council to choose an heir. The Westerosi lords select Jaehaerys' eldest grandson, Prince Viserys, over his eldest grandchild, who should, they're the next in line, would be Princess Rhaenys. Mm-hmm. However, the custom has been that it's the male heir. So even though Jaehaerys put it to a vote, which is actually pretty cool to see a bit of democracy in these type of old kind of what is before feudalism, like these royal kind of societies actually having a vote saying, all right, who do you want? And in the end they pick Viserys. So what do you think about that opener, that initial conflict between how Jaehaerys chose his heirs?
Well, it sets the tone for a lot of other parts of the story. As you mentioned, Rhaenys being dirty about it, and it's even up until the last episode of the season. There's still tension there, and it's a driving factor for where are they from?
They're from Driftmark.
Driftmark, yeah. So it is a big driving point for them as far as where they stand, and they end up on the small council. And I think that's
shows the patriarchy at the start of the story. I guess it shows that generally in this society the people prefer the male heirs, which kind of not only, but like you said, shows where Driftmark kind of stand about being dirty about it, but also kind of sets you up for the Seven Kingdoms maybe not being happy with other choices for heirs, right? Kind of setting you up to let you know that.
Yeah, it sets the precedence for the shit that happens and where you think it might fall.
We could say it's spoiler. You can say for Rhaenyra. Yeah.
I don't want to get into too much of the episodes. I just don't.
We won't get too far.
Because there is there's whole episodes just on that, and it's
exactly.
Well, episode 9. It's.
Well, pretty much episode 1 even is all about it. That's when he chooses her in this very episode. So we did the 9 years ago. Then we zip forward to it's 9 years past into his reign. King Viserys organizes a tournament to celebrate his wife, Queen Aemma. She's pregnant now, and he's convinced that she is carrying his long-awaited male heir. So there's this tournament happening. And
in the other part, there's one of the heaviest fucking scenes,
dude.
I think I've seen in a TV show ever.
Yeah.
go as far as that.
Well, here,
because just
let me skip these ones just because then I'm going to read these next three and then we can talk about that.
Go for it.
And I'll throw it back to you for the pregnancy. So she's giving birth. The small council while this is happening, they're disregarding what Corlys is saying as well, because he's warning of the Triarchy and the Stepstones and the Crab Feeder and all the free cities are, they're going to cripple the shipping lane. So all this is happening at the tourney. The Hand of the King is criticising Viserys' brother and his heir, Prince Damon, for his brutality on the City Watch. And Kristen Cole as well at this very same tournament kind of he outcompetes Damon at the joust and kind of gets it in a one-on-one after. And during the tourney, Aemma dies in childbirth and her newborn son Balon dies short. So how do you take all that in? What was that like, seeing that scene where she's like, I'm going to do this, and earlier on she's like, well, childbirth is our battle as women. That's our battlefield. She goes in there and the Maester talks to Viserys and he's like, oi, she's probably not going to make it, but we got to do this, the old school C-section.
And it comes down again to what you were just saying about the patriarchy and those sorts of things, where it's come down to the husband's decision as to what happens as far as the childbirth, and he decides, cut her open, and then you're tested with that again later in the series with Damon, his own brother, and the decision is quite different. And that, as I was referring to before, his character arc and the decision that he makes there is completely out of character for him early on, but
he's more conflicted, right? Compared to whereas Viserys is like,
he's having that
my boy.
Yeah, and
now I do.
It touches on some pretty serious.
Oh
yeah, but it touches on some pretty serious topics there. In the sense that, like you mentioned, and not trying to be, get all English teacher with it, where we watch something and just fucking break it down, trying to analyze all this.
We're getting all English teacher on.
Got to write a fucking essay on it. But you've got, as you mentioned, you've got the metaphor of the with the tourney, and then you've got the childbirth and the two different battlefields, and then but then you've got Viserys making the decision on essentially both of them, even though he's not the one laying there trying to pump a baby out, but he's made that decision. And he
goes up and holds her hand, and she sees the blades coming out, and she's like, "What's going on? What's going on?"
He's so cold with it, he's just like.
But he does and the way the actor Paddy Considine, who was amazing, kind of says at that moment, that's when Viserys kind of dies with her in a way. He's like, I made this horrible choice, forcing her into having, because she's had multiple failed pregnancies in the story by now, because he needs her to try and have a son to sort this shit out, because otherwise Damon would be the next in line. And yeah, fuck, unbelievable scene. And then the baby dies anyway, right? The little boy dies, and you get to see that poor little corpse wrapped up on the pyre. Yeah, and you get to, I guess, see how the Targaryens back in the day used to have their funerals by dragonfire, right?
Yeah, they're pretty confronting too.
Yeah. And you can see Damon. Is this the first time you kind of see Damon kind of care for his family? Because he's just like, they're all broken up, and he goes up to Rhaenyra and it's like, your father needs, because she's frozen. She's like, what, and he's like, no, he needs you to go. But skipping back, we're at the tourney, okay. The Hand of the King, Sir Otto Hightower, because it's flashing back to their council as well, and he does not want Damon to be the king's to be the next in line, the heir, because of what he just done the night before with the Kingsguard and the gold cloaks. With the gold cloaks. So Damon invents the gold cloak, which are basically like the police of King's Landing, and he gives them their gold cloak so that they're proud of it, and then they go into town, and if you're a rapist, they're cutting off your nuts. you're a thief, they're cutting off your hands. So it's like, King's Landing is a scary, horrible place to be, and Damon's just kind of wiped out crime overnight, but in such a crazy, brutal way that Otto is using it as a reason to not have Damon be even considered.
Yeah,
and you see the love between the brothers, right? Gets defended by Viserys.
Yeah, well, you see sort of how soft Viserys is, and then you see that how reckless Damon is at that time, and he's just he knows he's protected. He knows
he's poking Hightower, isn't he?
He's just, and look,
trolling him.
Just early on in that series, I was on Otto's side. By the end of it, I fucking hated that.
Oh man, me too. I was like, Otto's like a Tywin. He's trying to just run the fucking country, and then this dickhead Damon is just a smarmy troll. Fuck him.
Yeah, so
you're right. You do have that vibe of Otto being the measured one, right?
Yeah, you sort of respect him. By the end of it, you're just like, yeah, you're a snake. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even especially by the end of the episode, right? Because Damon goes out on the town and gets on the piss, right? And he gets caught saying some pretty horrible shit. He calls the child who died the heir for the day.
Yeah.
So that gets, and he's like, did you fucking say that? And he's like, we all grieve in our own ways. It's like, all right, fuck off, go fuck yourself. And he banishes him back to
Dragonstone.
The Vale, yeah.
Yeah, well, he doesn't go to the Vale. No, he doesn't go to the Vale. He goes to fucking Dragonstone.
He takes over Dragonstone. Yeah, he says, fuck it.
He just does his own thing, man. Because he's married at the time too. He's still married.
Yeah, to the bronze bitch was a Rhea Royce.
Yeah.
But then as well, at the end of that episode, outraged, Viserys banishes Damon, and he appoints his only living child, Princess Rhaenyra, heir to the Iron Throne. And then he brings her down to the dungeon and reveals to her Aegon, dream, inspired Aegon, which is on the dagger, heats up and kind of ties everything in then to Game of Thrones.
Which is the Song
because
of Fire.
Because that's the dagger. But though that's the dagger that kills the Night King.
Yes.
In Game of Thrones.
Yep.
So they don't even know that it's got that prophecy written on it.
No,
so this does end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that incredible? So
there's a few things that you see that show up in from Game of Thrones as well. Even the table at Dragonstone. When they light that up.
Everyone wants that table now. Yeah. That's fucking badass with the lava.
Well, it didn't click with me, and then because Rin was watching it with me this afternoon as well, and she went, "Oh, fucking Stannis Baratheon never knew that could do it," and I went, "Oh yeah, fuck, now I know where they are." Like,
that's the Baratheons, though, right?
Yeah,
the Baratheons are just fucking. Let's just get pissed, except for Stannis.
Let's get pissed and
Stannis is like, let's not waste any fucking coal. It's like, all right, Stannis doesn't come across as someone who does things for fun and theatrics anyway. He's kind of just like, right, let's move along. But that's the end of that. They kind of, Rhaenyra is the heir. She gets people to he gets everyone to come and swear fealty to her, and he lets her in on the secret of Song of Ice and Fire, which is that there's something up north, and if we don't unite these kingdoms, we're all fucked. And that's kind of cool because I feel like they're trying to fix Game of Thrones as well, because Game of Thrones built up that dagger so much, and then it's just the dagger that gets used. It's like,
trying to tie in.
And I hope that maybe when they do the sequel to Game of Thrones, which is going to be the Jon Snow based stories now, I wonder if Arya, because she has that knife,
it's going to be a Jon Snow survival video up in the north.
It's just like Bear Grylls. Yeah. Right. Hello, I'm Jon Snow, and I know something.
I've just seen a Yeti, and I'm gonna have to drink its piss.
Squeezing it. Oh man, and he could take Westerosi celebrities around with him. Oh, that could be fun. But anyway, all right. Episode 2, The Rogue Prince. All right, so it's 6 months after Rhaenyra is named as heir. Damon has illegally occupied Dragonstone, and is supported by his local city watch guards, because again, he made the Gold Club. And so a lot of them were kind of loyal to him, and they joined him.
And Dragonstone is Rhaenyra's at that stage too, isn't it? She's the heir to that.
It should be her. She has claim to it, but because it's the Targaryen ancestral home in Westeros. So before Aegon the Conqueror conquered Westeros, that's where he landed first after the Doom of Valyria. So that's where the Targaryens used to live before they went to King's Land, or they were the. So it's just kind of like usually the second son will get it, or something like that, because whoever's king will take King's Landing, and then whoever's elsewhere. That's famously why Robert Baratheon gave it to Stannis, Game of Thrones as well. And it was kind of seen as an insult because it's a cold, horrible place. And they're like, "Oh, make him the Lord of Dragonstone." And then while Robert whores his way through an early grave, the legend. Oh, they're gonna do a Robert Baratheon one as well.
Which would be cool, because him early on, especially with the rebellion, man, that would be to see a different side of him, because all we saw was the fat, lazy, drunkard side of
where's
Robert
the big
Baratheon.
crazy Robert? Yeah, strong, and I want Tom Hardy to play that Robert. Be like, Bessie, thank the gods for Bessie. My Warhammer, wee. Like, he'd be so good, and then get Henry Cavill, who left The Witcher, now to play Rhaegar Targaryen. Be the sexy blonde. Although it'll be too typecast.
Yeah, but and anyway, that's something that that they have done really well in this and Game of Thrones. Like, people that you think would have really suited some of those characters, they've used lesser known ones, and they've done a fantastic job in that too. So
great casting. Both shows, I have to say,
casting's been done really well. There's no one in there that you sort of look at them playing that character and go, "You've done a shit job," or anything like that, because they've done really well to make the character their own. So, anyway,
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we're at Dragonstone.
Well, he's got Dragonstone now. The second point of the episode: Prince Admiral Crag-Estrahar, known as the Crab Feeder. Sorry, everybody. Menaces the Stepstones at the Essos Triarchy's behest. So this is the Eastern continent kind of getting the Crab Feeder to take those Stepstone Islands and block the shipping. And Rhaenyra, when the Great Council is hearing about this, Rhaenyra actually suggests showing force, going down there with the dragons. Small Council kind of dismisses her suggestion, instead relegates her to a new Kingsguard Knight. So she goes then, and so you can kind of see they don't want to get involved in the Stepstones. They want to kind of let Corlys and Damon, who have been fighting this on their own, kind of
also shows that they're not taking into account her opinion as a woman. Like, even though she's now the heir to the throne, they're sort of very dismissive. One, because she's young, and send her on these smaller duties. So I suppose it shows the animosity, or it's already displaying some of the animosity towards the decision that was made, and how the rest of the realm's going to feel about it when the time comes. So, and also it shows Viserys is trying deeply to be another Jaehaerys the First, because Jaehaerys the First, the guy who he was heir of, his grandfather, was known as having like 50 years of peace, and the realm loved that. So he was trying to, like, his whole motto is, whatever we can do to stop going to war, to stop this, like, I'm just not gonna lose. But wrong decision in the end, because as Corlys was saying, well, these are shipping routes, and you're gonna lose the southern half and the east side of your kingdom when these motherfuckers who are staking dudes to the fucking ground and having crabs fucking eating them have taken over. But either way, that's happened. Rhaenyra's kind of suit to decide, and she ends up having to choose a new member of the Kingsguard, and she chooses Sir Criston Cole, who got the better of Damon Targaryen, because he was actually the only person there who had battle experience. All the others were torn.
So starts Criston Cole's entry to the show, the unaging character in the show. You can go 20 years and don't have to change his character. He is gorgeous. Yeah.
I did notice that when they've done that big jump, and then there's still.
They gave him a little bit of salt and pepper. That was it. In fairness, he's probably is one of those guys, right? He looks, because he's from Dorne. He's from where, like, the Red Viper's from.
Yep.
Down south. So yeah, he's got a little bit of the, he's got the good skin and all. So fair enough. We'll let him away with it. And he's another one who starts off, you're like, he's the knight in shining armor, nice guy, everything's so nice about him.
And then he turns into a cunt.
And then you end up hating him. You're like, what a fucking head. But yeah, she picks him. And, okay, while this is happening, Sir Otto sends his teenage daughter, who was best friends with Rhaenyra, Alicent Hightower, to privately soul the grieving king. Now, I guess we'll go a little bit back and talk about Alicent and Rhaenyra's relationship. They're friends. They're in the first episode. You see them running around, kind of holding hands, going to underneath the weirwood tree and telling stories. And Rhaenyra's even confiding in Alicent, right? She's like, I don't want to be queen. I don't want this. I'd rather just, And it's showing that Alicent's all about duty and doing what she's told by her father, and again
sticking to tradition and everything as well. Yep.
Yeah. Well, the Hightowers are very like that. They're very like the Hightowers down in Old Town. They're really big supporters of the Seven. That religion, and also where the Maesters are from. Also where
that's
right. Get into that conspiracy later. How the Maesters and the Hightowers and are all hanging out. But anyway, they have a great friendship. They're really good friends. But dutiful Alicent Hightower is now been privately asked to console the grieving king and maybe wear one of her mother's dresses by Otto, and she ends up advising Viserys that Rhaenyra should discuss his knightly duty to marry, because he's young. So she goes in there and does her duty. What do you think about that? Which is very normal for the time, and even not so long ago in our world, like men would go, all right, I'm gonna sell you off. I'm gonna, that was the duty. Well, what do you think of that? What's that show?
They talk to about a lot, and you see it a lot, especially towards the end of the season when there's a lot of planned marriages happening for alliances. It happened, throughout history with between England and France, all of those countries back in medieval times, and probably still happening now. It's even as far as recent history,
Yeah.
So, it was. It goes to show, that women were just the political tool there for those sorts of patriarchal societies to build those allegiances and for the benefit of the kingdom. And that's where that duty comes down to, and that's where Rhaenyra draws the line in a sense by saying I don't want to do this, and takes her a long while to get married because of that. The other reason being what happened to her mother.
Well, that's right, exactly. And she's very much like her mother, according to Viserys. And I think you kind of see it, and Viserys starts to change now after his wife dies. He starts to become very emotional and all that, and you got to give him a big thumbs up here, because Lord Corlys and his wife Rhaenys, the queen who never was, they proposed that Viserys marry their Valyrian houses together by marrying their 12-year-old daughter Laena. That's in episode 2 as well. And that's another one of those shocking scenes where she's like, I will sire you many children, and it's like, and he's like,
this old dude
even for back then, he's like, she's 12. He said, so you got to give him a little bit. That's when I first was like, all right, Viserys is, maybe he's all right, because I was like, oh no, this is gonna happen.
But doesn't Damon end up marrying? Yeah, Damon ends up marrying her.
Yeah, but years later.
But Damon's a non-aging character. He just...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They just change his haircut every now and then. Give him a short back and sides.
Yeah.
And all right, now give him
now
Elvis.
grow it again.
All right, now bring him back to the long hair. Yeah. Give him the little ponytail.
Yeah, but
man.
it's insane that
Yeah.
And I know it's fiction, but a lot of it still happens. You got a 12-year-old girl who's been promised.
Happens
To an
today,
older.
different parts of the world. It still happens. And even if you look at Prince Philip and the Queen and Prince Charles, and it's happening. Even fucking Jerry Lee Lewis just died. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. One of the best rock and roll piano players of all time. Married his fucking, I think she was 13, 14-year-old cousin. So still happening. Read. And although I guess maybe that was during the 50s.
Yeah, but that's still recent history. That's in the last
It is
100 years, man.
That's our era, still. Yeah. Well, anyway. So he's there. He's thinking, okay, maybe I have to remarry. Maybe I have to, I'm still a young king. He's in his 30s.
Well, it's Otto that puts that burden on him, isn't it? Yeah. And this is where Otto start to play his cards.
Otto's the toy one, but that's also why he sails in Alicent not only to be like, I understand, I lost my mother recently too. So also to be there as empathy, but also to lay the seeds for two things. The empathy was the way he gets in, but also to be like, you need to marry again. She just says that. She doesn't say it's me, but you need to marry somebody. Maybe someone who understands you. Maybe,
maybe someone who...
She wears the mammy dress and she gets it done.
Yeah, it's
and
it's sly, isn't it? And that's where early on you think Otto is a very loyal person and he's very unselfish, and he's just
very
wanting
calm,
the best for the realm.
Thoughtful.
But then as each episode goes through, you see him just play card after card, and he's very sly with it. Falls apart for him there for a bit, but then he gets straight back in there.
He gets back in there with the help of the younger strong son, who we'll get into, who has a tie into
the original Littlefinger,
Laris Tarantino. We'll get into him in a bit. But anyway, look. Meanwhile, the small council learns Damon has proclaimed himself the true heir and stole a dragon egg and intends to marry his mistress, Visaria of Fleabomb, because he's already betrothed to Bale. That's another political alliance now.
No, he's already married to her.
Well, that's what I mean. So he's betrothed, he's married to her. That's a political ruined. But the Targaryens have taken many wives in the past, so that was his justification for it, yes. Whereas Viserys wanted to be, to be more of a Seven Kingdoms ruler than a old school Targaryen. But Otto then and a small detachment, they sail to Dragonstone, and the balls on Otto. You gotta, for all the sly, snaky shit, he rocks up with dudes. He's like, dragons in front of him. He's like, you must come with us. And it's like, why did you ever think they were going to give you that egg, Otto?
I think it's just
his
hate for Damon. I just think it's that.
Yeah.
If it had been anybody else, he might not have gone there himself. But you see early on, like you mentioned, they just fucking hate each other. Those two.
Yeah. But he's willing to sacrifice himself. I think he thinks Damon might kill me, but if Damon kills me as an envoy for the king,
I'll be a martyr. Yeah.
Alicent, I think I've put the clause in. She'll be taken care of, but Viserys will cut Damon then, because it's like they'll be killing the king. But then Rhaenyra shows up on Dragonback, and she of her dragon Syrax, and forces Damon to renounce his claims and give her the egg, because she knows, look, you love me, but you want to be the heir, you got to kill me. And he's like,
fuck.
He chucks her the egg. Yeah, he's like, all right, you got me, because they're kind of painting that it's like, all right, Damon's an ass, and he's a dick and all, but he seems to kind of, in the end, like his family. It's kind of giving you a little bit of a little fucking tidbit in there. But anyway, that all happens. Rhaenyra comes back. I've got the dragon egg, but the king, he's got the small council, and he's like, I've made a decision. I know who I'm going to marry. And fucking Corlys is standing there. Fucking, everyone's there. And he goes, I'm going to marry Alicent. You can see Corlys is insulted, and he leaves because it is the smarter move. I mean, even which is funny, Strong, the hand of the king, even says no, not my son. Marry the Valarian girl, because he wants her to marry the 12-year-old. Because that'll be the smartest thing for the realm is for him to marry the fucking 12-year-old. But because it would join the Valarians, who are already a little bit pissed and need to be kept on side. They're the richest family here. They're already angry that you haven't.
But then they've got
them in the stepstones.
It's the fleet as well. Like it's the strength of force that it brings.
It's the navy. They own the navy. They own the seas, and but he throws that away for love. Truly. Because I think he loves now Alicent, or at least sees like she's a nice girl, and is kind of a bit hypocritical for what he kind of tries to push Rhaenyra into at first later on. But yeah,
do you think
angry?
And this was like another reason for him doing that is because of the way Rhaenyra is, and having her best friend as his wife, it would sort of help sway her and settle her down a little, but that backfires.
Well, he might have thought that, but man, that backfired. You know what I mean? He I think as well, he thinks like, this is someone I can trust. It's all those, you know what I mean? I like the High Towers. I trust the High Towers, and also she understands me because he was broken. He turned into motherfucking in his room playing Legos after his missus died.
What's fucking wrong with Lego?
Oi, he's the king. It's got shit to do. The fucking stepstones are on fire.
There's always time for
No, this is where Damon comes in.
For Lego.
He's weak. Okay. Although, in fairness, what a set he's got, and then it gets great. But he's a little bit here and there. But that's what happens. Corlys, enraged by this, goes to Damon and says, "Damon, I'm willing to back you in your claim to the throne if you're willing to come to the stepstones with me and do this." And then he kind of disses Viserys a bit, and this is another kind of thing Damon does. He goes, "I shall talk about my brother these ways or whatever, but you won't."
Yep.
So he says to Corlys, he's like, "I know I'm mad at me brother,
but he's still my brother.
Don't talk to him like that around me." It's so funny, like they're all just bitches, like but in the end
it shows he has that moral compass, right?
It's a big moment.
Yeah, he's pissed. He's made a lot of questionable decisions, but then, it shows that he does have a line where, you don't cross, and that gets even stronger further on. And I suppose, with him renouncing his claim to the throne and everything earlier in the episode, where he's, it shows his ties, his feelings about his family. And that he's just a bit lost, and still probably immature as well. That gets mentioned.
Well, he is. He may not look it, but he's pretty young. Supposed to be in this, and what they don't. Originally, they were supposed to start Game of Thrones. Start House of the Dragon much later than this. They were supposed to start at the death of a king, the death of someone that happens later on, and then have little flashbacks. Of this period. They could have even gone back further and shown how when Damon found out that Viserys was the heir, him and his little friends got together and he started trying to go around King's Landing and trying to get a little band of people together in case anyone questioned his brother's fucking claim to the throne. And also,
he's loyal.
He does love his brother. He loves his brother. And then they kind of talk about how close they were, running around, flea-bop, horn around and stuff. Later on, they kind of talk about that when they reunite.
Yep.
Which kind of has Rhaenyra going, well, why can't I fucking go around the city horn? But anyway, Corlys goes to Dragonstone, and that's the end of the episode, and he's going to help them. All right, 3 years pass now. Episode 3. We probably should speed up a little bit. We're on episode 3 now. But we're getting all the exposition out earlier on. This is the character build. Episode 3. It's 3 years later. Lord Corlys and Prince Damon have battled the dragon feeder and his pirates on the stepstone. without the Iron Throne support, they've been battling them this whole time. You know what I mean? They are fucked. One of them says we have 3 days. The only game we have is if we can find someone crazy enough to be used as bait.
Corlys's brother, even
Damon.
Yeah, Damon is questioning it, and he's sending letters to King's Landing to ask for support. That's actually I forget his name. Corlys's son's the one that says we need to, or comes up with that plan. Laenor, yep. He's the one that comes up with that plan of sending somebody in, to cause a distraction and whatnot. So it introduces
dragon.
It introduces Laenor into it, and you can already see
his dragon.
Yeah, and he's a bit of a tactician already. That's the first time you see. I forgot his name already, even though you just said it.
Damon.
Yeah, you see Damon.
All the names are so similar. Yeah.
That's why I fucking get it mixed up.
It's hard. It's Damon, Rainy's, Raynar, Rona, right?
But you see Damon for the first time, and he doesn't. With what happens to him later down the track, it doesn't surprise me just from what he's doing early on. As soon as his character comes into it, by trying to undermine the whole campaign.
Says, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he undermines it without even. He doesn't even approach his brother and say, "Hey, listen, we need to do this." And you see that reaction from Damon when the messenger comes through with the letter, and he beats.
Well, why he was
out
pissed as well. He's like, the King's Landing, or the King will be there with ships, and he'll be there within the week.
Yeah,
and he's just like,
why the fuck have they been for 3 years?
We have 3 days. No, but as well, he knows that's not going to help them.
Yeah,
because they have 3 days worth of food. So he's like, okay, I'm going to try and end this now before they come in and save the day.
Yeah.
So he can still have that.
And then he turns into John Wick.
He does. Oh, he fucking. That whole episode, if you look closely, he doesn't say a word. From start to finish, even when he gets the letter, he doesn't say a word. He bashes all mate. He doesn't. And then when he gets onto the fucking thing and has his hand and he does the Braveheart, like it's fucking. He doesn't say a word for the whole episode, which is how good his acting is. Yeah, Matt Smith is just fucking. And that's after this episode. This is really when I was like, Damon's a fucking badass. Damon's a fucking machine. Well, I would have liked to see him kill the crab feeder. I would have liked to see that
was
stroke
brutal,
down the middle
man.
Of him.
See, when
just dragging him out.
When I just saw like the torso being dragged out, I thought, the crab feeder's coming out a different entrance or something like that.
Yeah.
But then when he comes out of the cave and it is the crab feeder, I was like, that's fucking brutal. Like that's serious. Yeah. But the other thing with Damon with that episode, like up until that scene when he goes all John Wick, the only times we've really seen him fight is in the tournament and when he's marching through the streets, gold cloaks.
Yep.
So you sort of get the impression that he might not be as good of a warrior as he makes himself out to be because he loses.
Well, they're all summer children is what they call them because they've had 50 years apiece. So you see, he's royalty. So he's kind of like, he's with the gold cloaks, but he's not fighting anyone that's.
But that's what I mean. So
and then he comes up to Sir Kristen.
He's a bit of a bully, and then he loses in the tournament against Sir Kristen, right? So you think, he might just be. He's certainly no Jaime Lannister. You think at this point, who's just on another level. Until that scene, then you're like, okay, so he can rumble. But he has been fighting for 3 years.
Well, I guess that's his third year of war.
Yeah,
that's right. Like he's been going out, so that's maybe to show him, okay, now he's battle tested. Mm-hmm. The man. But while this is happening, okay, maybe we'll just hit on a couple of points on episode 3 and move on. So King Visarans plans a hunt to celebrate his and pregnant Queen Alicent's son's Aegon's second birthday. So now he's got an heir. He's got little blonde hair now, little Aegon. And Rhaenyra resents her father still and doesn't give any attention towards her half-brother. The ailing king, because now you're seeing he's sick. You're seeing him, he's having trouble killing the stag. He's starting to see these problems with his hand, maggots, all that kind of stuff, and you're like, what is this? Is it grayscale? Is he have leprosy? What's the deal? Is he being...
Well, it's from episode 1. Remember when he cuts himself on the Iron Throne? He sits down and cuts himself. I reckon it's something to do with there. But it's...
Well, yeah.
It's very...
I think that
the symptoms look a lot like syphilis, but on a amplified level. So I don't know.
There's lots of... Apparently, it's a mixture of leprosy and diabetes and something else as well, because it's like whatever his wounds are, they won't heal.
Yep.
So it just keeps coming. And, yeah, whatever it is doesn't seem to be contagious, though, I will say. Unless you want to say that when Rhaenyra visited him, not great, might have affected one. But anyway, we'll get into that. Some people suppose the baby in the looks like it's got scale. But we'll get into that later on.
Yeah, okay. I thought that was just because it was so early.
Well, you should see the artist's rendition, because you can see the actual baby they used, and it looks like it's a dragon, half dragon. It's look at that. The artist who made the baby in the future episode 10.
That happens in episode 10.
Last 10, yeah. When there's not blood all over it or anything, it's got dragony features, which is supposed to happen with Targaryens. A couple of them through history have had half dragon babies.
Never lived.
But we can get it's too far. That's too far down into the lore. We're not going down. But anyway, Grey Hunt kills the thing to celebrate Aegon. Yeah. The Aelin King then insists Rhaenyra, now 17, must marry to form a strong alliance to protect her lineage. Many suitors are considered, including the 2-year-old princess. Then Lord Lionel Strong recommends Sir Laenor Velaryon, Corlys' son, as a potential match to mend the rift between the two houses. They're still pissed because of the Stepstone shit. Overcoming previous doubts, Viserys assures Rhaenyra she remains his heir and can choose her own consort. He actually says that to her. Now, having said that, in the meantime, the brothers Hobart and Otto Hightower, so the Hightower bros, are secretly scheming to make Aegon the successor, furthering the family's power and prestige. Sir Vaemond Velaryon pleads for the king's help, like you were saying earlier. Viserys agrees to aid and sends to the Stepstones. Seeing his brother's support as ending his chance to prove himself, Damon acts as bait to ambush the Triarchy warriors, killing the crab feeder and winning the ensuing battle before the crowns fall. Yeah, and another cool thing that happened at the end of that, I guess, was the deer, right?
Yeah, the big white stag, because
she didn't kill it. He didn't kill the white stag when she had the chance. She's like, let it live, let it be.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows another part of her that that she's maybe a little bit like her father, in that sense. Whereas, you know what I mean? Like, he's trying to keep the peace. It's beautiful, do it. Whereas he's just fucking fucked by now. He can't even kill that thing, man.
He's struggling.
That's
you
pretty
can see
sad
when he grabs
yeah.
when he picks a spear up.
Well, the men are looking too.
The
men are looking, so people are now. This kind of sets up he's not right at the moment. Should he even be? Should we respect this guy and who he chooses as heir?
But on the other side, when she comes back with that boar,
after she kills the boar, right?
Yeah, and you can see, that she's starting to get some respect from people.
We meet a Lannister even then, don't we?
You meet two.
We meet fucking.
You meet two Lannisters.
The brothers.
The brothers. Yeah. So Jason. Is it Jason?
Yeah, the Lannisters all have mad names.
Is it Jason?
Where is this?
It's like a normal fucking name.
Yeah, well, they do have normal names, the Lannisters, because remember there was Kevin Lannister, Tywin's brother.
Mate, fucking.
And Jamie. Kevin, Jamie, and fucking Jason. Call him Jaemond, for fuck's sake.
Kev Lannister. Big Kev.
Yeah.
Come here, Kev.
Big Kevy. You're all right, Kev. I'm Kev Lannister.
Come with me to Casterly Rock. We'll drink beers.
Yeah, Casterly Cook.
Yeah, we'll fucking eat 4 and 20 pies, drink PB, and smoke Winfield Blues.
Kev
Lannister, through and through.
True and true. It should be a Kev Lannister memes. But anyway, episode 4, The King of the Narrow Sea. After an unsuccessful month-long tour to choose a consort, Rhaenyra returns to King's Landing. Damon also returns after conquering most of the Stepstones, now named the King of the Narrow Sea by the folk down there. However, Damon swears his allegiance to Viserys and hands over his crown. As the reunited brothers celebrate, Alicent and Rhaenyra also kind of reconcile.
This is another episode where you see Damon. Well, he tricks you a little bit again because he has had a bit of a growth period. He comes back and
not with his hair though. He's had a
no, he's chopped that.
His hair's he is Elvis now. He's got that fucking pompadour. He's looking fine, but yeah,
you can see they're wary of him.
Crown.
Yeah. When he walks in and he's got that, and they're very wary of him. They're like, "What? You know, is this a fucking? Is he taking the piss?" But he's very genuine in that. But it doesn't take him long before he's up back down to flea bottom. You know, getting up to some nasty shit.
And let me continue then.
Yeah, go. Yeah, I won't.
After dark, Damon. Oh no! After dark, all right. Damon and Rhaenyra sneak out to explore King's Landing, drinking, attending a bawdy play, which is interesting because the political play, kind of throws back to Game of Thrones again. Remember when you see the political plays and you're like, okay, this was kind of their news and what the common folk did was
because you see it a few times.
They didn't always respect the king. They didn't always, they're kind of, this was down the dirt kind of.
Well, even that one
gossip
that you see with Arya, I think it's over in, when she's over the Narrow Sea.
It's in Flea Bottom.
No, the one afterwards.
Don't they cut the dude's tongue out?
No, I'm talking about that when they do the play later. So she's over trying to join the Silent Men. So they, this is
House of Black
Arya,
and White. They're
Arya
the Faceless Men.
Faceless Men, sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
And she's there and she sees the play about the death of Ned and how it's portrayed, and it's completely different. So you see it throughout a few times.
That's when she's with that traveling troupe, isn't it?
Yes.
The actors and all. Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly how the politics gets through to the common folk through those things. But either way,
and make a mockery.
They see a play. Yeah, and she's like, boo, which is kind of funny. And then they end up visiting a brothel. And then Damon, you start to see he seduces Rhaenyra or grooms her, let's be honest.
He's been grooming her the whole time.
Yeah. But they're Targaryens, But that's ages. It's got to the point where that was like 100 years ago, like when Aegon was there, and like there's been very, very few. The Targaryens have kind of been assimilating into Westerosi, royalty, and now they're changing to assimilate more to the people. But now
there is still some of that incest going on. Obviously, the proposition of the marriage.
It comes back full force.
Oh, fucking oath it does. To the
point.
Well,
the Valerians are not Targaryens.
No. But
they're a Valerian house. But yeah.
Yeah. So, but you've got is it Rhaenys? What's the name?
Rhaenys.
Sorry.
Rhaenys or Rhaenys.
Is the cousin.
They're cousins.
Yeah. So then, trying to marry.
But your uncle, mate. Different.
This is where it starts.
Bad. Okay. Cousin.
This is where it starts to get onto
fucking
another
your
level.
Niece and nephew. Yeah. But anyway, he's not able to do it. He's unable to consummate the affair, they might say. And he has to get out of there. Oh, man.
The old brewer's droop.
But he's like, I better, this is a bad decision. I think I better go.
Fucking bag of gooey I had outside.
But Rhaenyra, she wants to finish. So she goes back to the Red Keep. And she actually grooms herself some Kristen Cole. Or she kind of, because that's a power dynamic. That's some Harvey Weinstein shit. Really,
that is there. She doesn't entice him into the room. She fucking steals his shit. And then once he's in that room,
has to obey her.
Yeah. Like, that's a power trip.
He probably could have ran away and said something. He probably could have said something.
Well, he's conflicted. The poor dude's conflicted. And you can understand later on when he proposes to her. And you can see how conflicted he is, because he's come from, yes, he was a knight, but didn't have any land or anything like that, to making it, as he says, into
he owes it all
the
to
most
her.
respected position. Yeah. So then he knows what could possibly happen with him, getting down and dirty with her.
That's the future queen as well.
Yeah.
So,
but they did
she's
share
gonna
that
own
night.
you one day or not.
They shared that night in the woods on the hunt. So I think there was the spark was there already. He just didn't think it was going to go any further. But it sets a precedence to his character destruction as well.
Well, he's an oathbreaker now.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So you could see the deterioration of him in an episode or two, when he kind of gets rebuked, when he decides to throw it all away, to run away. But anyway, informed of the White Worm's spy, Sir Otto tells the king Damon and Rhaenyra were carousing. Alicent overhears as well and privately questions Rhaenyra, who denies it. Viserys actually dumps Otto Hightower at this time as well. He's like, I know you now, you're trying to start shit, you want Aegon to be, you're trying to diss Rhaenyra, go fuck yourself. Well, in fairness, Otto's right. This is one of those times where Otto's like, I want to tell you, sir, but
See, I felt sorry for Otto in this circumstance, but at the same time I didn't, because you could start to see, the little picture he was painting and what he was doing, as I said, playing his cards, and then he's got this information. He goes to the king, tells him, and just isn't believed straight away. So I was at
King's
this
like,
point,
he's trying to get him to say fuck as well, because he's like, there was something happened with Damon and Rhaenyra. It's like, and the king's like, what happened?
Yeah.
What do you mean something? Are you gonna spread rumors? Say it. And he's
Spell
like,
it out.
they were unsavory. And he's like, say it.
It's like trying to get your grandfather or something to swear in it. He doesn't want to say the exact words, but
he makes them though.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then he tells him anyway, get out, how dare you say such a thing. Otto's so smart, he knew. He's like, if I tell you, you're going to fire me.
He got fired anyway. Man.
Yeah, he did. He got fired anyway. But then Viserys kind of believes him, I think. Because
Viserys knows.
He wants to know. He wants to know because he's just hurt. He's just hurt by everything because he loves his brother. He loves his daughter. He's talked to her about how important her role is this whole time and how she's going to be the heir. And then Damon's coming in, fucking everything up. He confronts Damon because he wants to see from him. And Damon's hung over and dishevelled from the night before. And then he seems to confirm it a bit, right? And then he even says, let me marry her. Who's going to want her now? Everyone's fuck her. Viserys claims Damon only wants the crown for himself and exiles him to the... That's when he exiled him.
Yes.
We got a bit ahead of ourselves. Now, to avoid the scandal then and to strengthen the throne, Viserys orders then Rhaenyra to marry Sir Laenor Velaryon. Otto's, kicked him to the curb. And they kind of come together and oh no, that's the next episode.
That's the next episode.
Grand Maester gives Rhaenyra a precautionary abortion tea at the end of this episode, and that's a bit of the abortion tea we see come up in here that we seen in the original Game of Thrones. Back, and then we see a couple more times in House of the Dragon to get rid of some unwanted children. But I wonder. We know she knows how to have smishmortions at all. I wonder if she didn't take that tea and maybe the first kid she had isn't a strong kid. It's a cold
Actually,
kid.
Chris.
Right?
Well, that would be interesting because it would change the whole events of the courtyard fight.
I have more about Aegon's kids and all that we'll get into later on.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even think there is. But that kind of sets it up as... Because you don't see her drinking the tea.
No.
Either.
No.
But anyway.
But yeah,
I reckon we do episode 5 and then a piss break. What do you reckon?
I was going to suggest something
We can do
like
it
that.
now if you want.
No. Let's do 5. Go halfway and then we can...
Episode 5, we light the way. In the Vale now we open up and Damon murders his wife, Lady Rhea Royce.
Who's
Again,
not
doesn't say
a bad-looking
doesn't say a
woman.
word in that scene.
Not a bad looking
She was
woman.
badass.
Yeah,
she
man.
was hot.
I don't
Because
understand his problem.
I was expecting some fat, horrible, nothing wrong with fat. Ladies need love, but I was expecting someone horrible.
Yeah.
That he didn't want to be near and all. But we found out it's just because he's a smart ass. And she doesn't take shit from him.
You know, doesn't
and
put up with his
pretty
bullshit.
hot. She even makes fun of him being a little bit placid. She says that I knew you couldn't finish.
While
Remember
she's
he
laying on
knocks
her
off the
back.
horse, and he's
like
gone.
quadriplegic at this stage.
Yeah, that struck
She
a
can-
nerve with him because he couldn't finish with Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
And then he goes down and he bludgeons her with a rock. Take that, all you Damon fucking lovers. He grooms his niece and he's murdering his wife and shit, and you still dig him. But anyway, Rhaenyra and Laenor Valerian, they're betrothed. They're about to marry, and they're and this is gonna make Corlys really happy because now all of a sudden Valerian's king. He'll be the king consort, his son. So understanding that Laenor's sexual, Rhaenyra proposes fulfilling their royal duty to protect heirs, then take love. So he would have his guy, and she would have Kristen Cole or whoever. Okay. Now, when she brings it up to Kristen, he's not happy because he's like, "Let's run away together. Let's do this. Let's do that. You know, we can change our names. We have money. It doesn't matter." And she's like, "I'm gonna do my duty, but I
still want that dick on the side."
Yeah.
He
So
don't
how
like
would you like to be that dick on the side now, Kristen? But he's so offended that
He
that
walks
she
off.
prefers the sex she lays on. He walks off. He's unhappy. You know what I mean? But before departing King's Landing, because remember, Otto Hightower's fired now.
Yes.
He warns Queen Alicent that Rhaenyra becoming queen, that her kids. Now, why this is important to me is because this is a change in Alicent.
Yes.
Now Alicent's, oh shit, like now everything I do is to protect my little kids.
Well, it shows Otto's. It shows a different side to Otto that you haven't seen up until. It shows a dark side, and it shows just how much of an understanding he has with how the whole system works. It almost plays his final card by after he's knocked out of the game for a short period of time, and then he puts it onto her. And so yeah, it's a big wake up call, Alicent, and it shows in the next episodes as well, and the way she talks to kids, and even the falling out that her and Rhaenyra have later on, all throughout the rest of the season. So it's an underrated scene in my opinion, because it's
powerful.
Well, it becomes a pretty strong focal point for the direction in which the whole season could have gone. Right, so if that scene hadn't happened, Alicent just stayed sort of oblivious or naive to the potential for things to happen, then you don't get the conflict later on in this season, I think.
Well,
and Otto Hightower doesn't come back either, if that happens.
Well, the focuses are directly after that.
Yeah.
They'd be like, okay, well, I've got to look into these, because she believed Rhaenyra that nothing happened with them. Mm-hmm. Then she goes and talks to Kristen about it, and Kristen thinks that he, in a misunderstanding, that he's been caught, and he confesses his love. Because she's like, is it true? Is this true about Rhaenyra and all? And he's like, oh yeah, I fucked her. It's like, I fucked her. And then he, don't cut me dick off. He actually says that, please don't gild me. You know what I mean? And then he goes off to the tree, the fucking Godswood, what's it called, the weirwood tree, goes to commit suicide.
No. That's not at that stage. That's
at the end of the episode.
Yeah, but that's after he's had the fight with Lionel's boyfriend.
Oh, I don't think so.
It is. So he has the fight.
I don't think those kids are born yet. The strong boys aren't born yet.
No. Rhaenyra's betrothed, right? Lionel, Valerius, Is it?
Lionel Valarian.
Right? Remember at the engagement, or not the engagement party, but the first night of the wedding, Christian Cole and...
That happens later, though. Pretty sure.
Christian tries to kill himself after that fight. So they have the fight at the wedding party, and you don't actually know what kicked that off, because remember there's the gap between them talking.
Yeah. Because they get...
They have words early on.
They wed that night, and Viserys collapses during the ceremony.
Yes.
That's why he kills Joffrey. That's why he kills Joffrey Lonmouth or whatever his name is, who is the one who Laenor is supposed, like his Kristen Cole.
Yes. But you don't know why that fight kicks off, because they have words early on.
No, because he's scared.
Yeah, but
I think he's scared that the word's going to get out, right? Because now other people know beside Alicent and Rhaenyra. He doesn't know that they kind of have that understanding, right?
Yeah.
Laenor and Rhaenyra.
But he just leaves it. He leaves it a very strange time to kick that fight off. You know, he doesn't do it in private or anything like that. He does it, you know, in a public area at the wedding function, and then just...
That's also where she goes in with the green dress, and that starts the whole Greens thing, right?
Yes.
And Damon doesn't stand up. He's like the only dude who doesn't stand up.
He's just
he's like, fuck that. But yeah, and what else happens there?
Damon gets confronted by his late wife's cousin.
About
the accusations
about killing Rhea.
Yeah. What else does happen in that? Yeah, and that's when Christian Cole, you know, then goes to the tree and gets stopped by Alicent.
Like, fuck it.
Because he's just punched the shit out of old mate. He's
like,
been
my
caught.
days are numbered.
Yeah, and she stops him. So, and that's where his character changes again too, I think.
He becomes like a religious extremist nearly. But anyway, end of episode 5, everybody. Take your bladders, take them away, and listen. Actually, you know what? Should we run another ad for our sponsor of our show?
Do we want to run the same ad?
I think we should. It might be different. Oh, look, if we have time, it'll be different. But if it isn't, it'll be the last episode's prestige plumbing. Yes. How good was that? Honestly. I made the video. Like, everyone who's watching, I made the video to this, and I was like, it doesn't really make any sense. So I was like, Vinno, do a voiceover and see if you can talk about like that. And I wasn't expecting much. I was like, Vinno will do a voiceover, then he'll come back to me and we'll work this out and we'll do this, and it'll be a long process. I made a video, sent it to Vinno, and he sends it back to me if you've seen it, you know it. The best fucking one take, like
it was one take. It was one.
That was so fucking good. It was so beautiful. It was so velvety. But look,
Prestige Plumbing and Gas.
Prestige Plumbing and Gas.
Prestige Plumbing and Gas. If you don't like it, get the fuck out.
But yeah, here's a word from our sponsors.
Do you have a leak? Maybe need a new install, or got a nasty blockage? Then you need Prestige Plumbing and Gas. Whether it's in or outside your home or business, Prestige Plumbing and Gas have you sorted. With the wealth of knowledge and professionalism that you deserve, Prestige Plumbing and Gas will have the job done right the first time. Guaranteed. You don't want to let yourself get caught out by dodgy workmanship. You want honest, reliable, and quality tradesmen to put your mind at ease. So make Prestige Plumbing and Gas your first choice. Operating in the Hunter region, Prestige Plumbing and Gas are the right choice for your home or business. Call Sean on 0401 726 336 and make the right choice. Prestige Plumbing and Gas.
Welcome back, mofos. That was an ad for Prestige Plumbing and Gas. Again, we know to do it behind the Sean. Legend of a guy, trustworthy dude, like quality shit.
The ad speaks for itself.
The Yeah. Oi, that voice actor. You know, what a man. What a mighty good man. Yeah. Well, here we're at. We did the first 5 episodes for the first half of the episode, and now we're on to episode 6. This is The Princess and the Queen. We're 10 years later. It's a big jump now.
This is the
Some
episode
of the kids are older. Yeah.
that got people offside a little bit because of the jump. It doesn't come up.
And the character change.
The character change, but there's no explanation. I mean, the first scene is Rhaenyra giving birth, and it's a different actor. There's no script on the screen, so 10 years later or anything like that. It's just jumped straight to it. So what I've seen from people is this was the episode that really, if they had any issues with the season, this is the episode that did it. And that's the whole reason. It doesn't take long to work it out. If you haven't watched it already, you shouldn't be watching the spoilers. But when you get to that point, that's what happens.
Well, the funny thing, this is when the whole series was supposed to start.
Yes. Yep.
So I understand people, but then we wouldn't have, all of what we had the first 5 episodes before that would have been flashbacks. And I don't think that would have been enough to understand the meaning behind that shit.
Well, we haven't got the backs. You haven't got enough of the backstory for one. You haven't got the groundwork laid for the characters, especially Damon, because it's from this point where he starts to really change and take a turn. So without that, your perception of Damon straight away would have been different. So I think the way they've done it's good. And
even Visarans, right? Because he might not have understood kind of what happened and what went into him naming Rhaenyra and Kristen Cole. You wouldn't have the Laenor backstory. You wouldn't have, a great many of things. Alicent, Otto.
Even Corlys referring to, the big issue that he has had this whole time is the fact that they weren't the ones sitting on the Iron Throne. But they were overlooked back when Viserys became king. Yep. So you would have missed out on all of that, and they would have had to then go back and explain it anyway. So I'd rather
I feel like they were pretty good at, before the season even started, like I suppose you have to look at things in 2 ways. You have to look at it, one is like a smart mark, I guess is what they call it in the wrestling industry, which is someone who's paying attention, looking forward to the season coming out, listening to online and getting ready and all that kind of stuff, versus someone who's, I'm just watching 10 episodes of television.
You can't do that. You couldn't do that.
I never watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You have to,
even with Game of Thrones, there's so much, even, what would almost seem like a boring episode. If you miss any of that dialogue, you've missed a whole key point in the plot. So it's not a casual watch, really, is it? It's
but I guess there's that, but also it's fantasy.
Yeah.
So when you're in the real world, okay, I'm making a movie. It's 2020 in the movie. Okay, everyone knows the history. Everyone knows what countries are called. But when you're in a fantasy, you're getting dropped in the world. Same as Lord of the Rings. When you're in Lord of the Rings, when you're watching Lord of the Rings, I should say, or even The Hobbit or Silmarillion or anything like that, you're coming into something with thousands of years. History behind it, and the whole, you know what I mean. You have to catch up, and you're kind of learning bits and bobs from people, and you're trying to figure out then who are these people, and what are these lands, and what's that house, and what's that family. And, so I think with fantasy, you have to kind of be willing to be a bit more of a watcher, for that type of stuff. Like, and that again, the same thing happens with Lord of the Rings. Where are we? What's going on? Like, half the argument, like the at the start of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, it starts you off with a fucking epic fucking scene when Sauron and Isildur, and there's this awesome action war. You're like, oh my god, this is amazing, and then you're fucking thrown. And you get the preamble about the rings and what all that means. But then you're thrown into the Shire and it's like, and it's like a wizard with fireworks. And you know what I mean? And it takes ages, you know what I mean? To get. And then but you don't even have a giant battle in the first one.
No.
You know, they just have the Urlachai running up on them.
Well, they have the skirmish in the Mines of Moria. And then they have, the skirmish at...
The Mines of Moria is probably the biggest scene for the amount of people coming out. Although I know the Uruk-hai at the end was pretty... But it's not till the second one, the Two Towers, when you start having the likes of Helm's Deep or Rohan or... fuck, I hate Rohan. You know that little song that plays when you're in Rohan? It's like, this song means we're going to Rohan. This song means we're going to Rohan. Rohan. But,
I'm never going to be able to hear that again.
That's all. It's like, this song means we're in Rohan. That's what it always...
Even on like Instagram... like the reels, the ones that pop up, and it's always like the New Zealand landscape. That's the song that plays.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to look to listen to that the same now.
I hope not, because I can't. Because it's like they play that music. Oh yeah, here we are. We're in Rohan.
This song means we're going to Rohan.
This song means we're going to Rohan. Oh. But anyway, episode 6, House of the Dragon. Oh, we need to do movie and series reviews. I think we could do a good Lord of the Rings one.
Well, we're gonna do
I think that would be a bit of fun.
We've got
to do Rings of Power.
Colin wants
I have
to
to catch up. I have a couple of episodes left on Rings of Power, and I wanted to leave them a bit close because I know there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens at the end, and I'm gonna just binge them.
You're gonna do me with this.
I'll be ready by next week.
Leave it till the very last. Leave it to the very last day. It lasts hour.
That's a smart move. What do you think, Vinno? That's a smart move, right? It's probably, you know what? It probably is a good idea, seeing as we're like a month since it's ended. You know what? I would have been handy to be like, right.
I'll go back and watch it.
Finish it off, and here I am.
Yeah, I'll go back and watch it again.
But where are we? 10 years later.
We are.
Okay, Rhaenyra has given birth to 3 sons: Lucerys, and a newborn Joffrey, obviously named after old mate who Kristen Cole killed the shit out of, right? And they all lack that Targaryen, you know, blonde hair, chiseled features.
They're very Baratheon looking, aren't they? Jet black hair.
They look Baratheon. They look very, you know, but they're strong young boys. And hey, who am I?
Yeah.
We're too early. We'll get there. Because he hasn't even attempted to ride the pink dread yet.
No.
That'll all come. So they all look fucking not Targaryen. However, King Viserys rejects Queen Alicent's assertion that Sir Laenor is not their father. And a lot of people who have eyes, which is what Lionel Strong said, have eyes. The realm has eyes. But a lot of people are like, look, whatever. And in fairness, we know Jon Snow. That's Aegon the 5th or whatever Targaryen. And he's a black-haired having motherfucker. However, he didn't have 2 blonde parents.
That's right.
Anyway, we move along. But I like what Corlys said as well. History doesn't remember blood.
It remembers names. Yeah.
And he's right. He is right. Before, and even like when you go back to Game of Thrones, there was always because the Mad King used to fuck Tywin's wife.
Yeah.
Everyone thought maybe that was Tyrion's dad. And Tywin just had to take it because there was no way of proving it was his.
Yep.
He just had to raise him as his own. But anyway, that's happened. They look like strong boys. Alicent tells Aegon, her eldest son, that he must prepare one day to battle Rhaenyra for the throne. Because if they win, they're going to kill him. They are bastards. And
it shows like his response to that as well.
He's wanking. He is.
He's a piece of shit, isn't he? Like
he's a little but he's a kid. Yeah, he's having a wank. You know, leave him
at
be.
the window, looking out at the city.
I've heard that's what they do. Out the window on the peasants.
But even his response is doesn't care. He's a larrikin. just wants to have fun. He doesn't take it serious at all.
Just wants them to rape handmaids. That's all he wants.
And wank out his window.
I don't know if he's raped anyone at that point, because he's still that. You know, that's David Tennant, another Doctor Who's son.
Yeah, right.
The actor who plays the young Aegon with the long blonde hair.
Yes.
He's kind of the pointy featured one. But yeah, in this time, everybody, and here's another big jump as well for some people. Do you remember that 12-year-old girl who Viserys was like, she's 12? Well, guess what? Everybody's favourite fucking sex machine's gone and married her, hasn't he? Lena Valerian is now his second wife, Lena, and he has 2 daughters with her, Bela and Rhaena. And what did you think about that? That's pregnant. Another...
So this is the episode that I was
And she's
talking
Vhagar's dragon rider now. She is not 12-year-old
No.
Lena anymore. She is riding the biggest, oldest dragon in the 7 Kingdoms, and she's married to the biggest, and he kind of seems to respect her.
This is what I mean with
you mentioned this earlier.
Yeah, this is the episode. So this is the change for Damon, because he shows a very strong connection to his own family. We haven't seen him with kids before. He's sitting there at one of the scenes reading a book or teaching one of his daughters to speak Valerian. You know, he's showing affection and genuine affection towards his wife and even their unborn baby.
Yep.
It's a different character altogether, and it shows his transition to, I suppose, his maturity, and that then it sets the groundwork for his character later down, but for the rest of the season now too, because he he's not going out whoring around. He's very much a family man, and he's almost just looking for peace. Now he's talking about somewhat becoming a sellsword so that they can stay just, in comfortable areas away from politics.
Essos, they're in a different continent.
Yeah. Yep. So,
and you know what and I hate to cut in, but I just want to bolster you for a second. They cut out heaps of scenes of Matt Smith or Damon with his kids.
Yeah,
they're saying, so if you get a DVD or if they do a director's cut or whatever, apparently there's fucking heaps of scenes of him with Bela and Rhaena raising them and being that dad that you're talking about. Now, I'm glad that you picked up and kind of you got that anyway, but just so everyone out there, there was more of that. So they were pushing that. But go on, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It shows it's a big turning point for Damon from what we saw. And even though he still has that very arrogant appearance to a degree, he's uninterested with throne and being involved in the politics and that whole side of things. The last thing he wants is to go back to King's Landing, which is an interesting change for him. It's almost like the family life. Nearly, isn't it? It's settled him down. Yep.
It's funny for someone like him who we've had this whole time. And now he's like, okay, I've got a dragon rider wife. I've got my 2 dragon rider children, except for one of them who hasn't got a dragon yet. One of them has Moon Dancer, but I think Rhaena hasn't got a dragon yet. But this is what he wants, like you're saying, and he's away from the politics.
Yep.
He's been a Targaryen. He's married his fucking niece or whatever she is.
Cousin.
He's doing his thing. That's right. Yeah. But yeah. However, what shatters this whole world is another decision I think you were alluding to earlier. Unable to give birth after agonizing labor, Lena commands her dragon Vhagar to incinerate her. However, Vinno, posed with the exact same scenario as Viserys, first of his name, King of the 7 Kingdoms, the first man in the Andals, Damon actually is struggling. You know what I mean? He doesn't want, you can see him, he loves Lena.
Well, the question's
or
asked,
at least respects, and it's different.
The question's asked and he shakes his head, and that's when she leaves the room.
He doesn't crave that male heir.
No.
He's happy with his daughters. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, you know, like we talked about before with his moral compass. And I suppose this is where he is, in some ways, a better character than his brother, in the sense that when it came down to that moral decision, it wasn't about him. It was about her. Because the question was asked, you know, will my wife die? And when the maester said, yeah, that was it. He just shook his head. It was not, you know, it wasn't all right, let's go ahead with it or anything like that, like his brother's decision. So, would we have had a different outcome with Damon earlier, or if it was his first child? Maybe, because he was pretty reckless then, and very selfish. So,
but I think it shows that he doesn't know. What everyone thought of him was that he was like, he just has throne ambition. He just has throne ambition.
Yep.
But I never think he did. I think he just wanted to be appreciated as a, you know, and do his thing, and he loved his family and all, and he just was who he was and was arrogant. But I think it kind of showed that I'm not the one obsessed with having male heirs that everyone will approve of, and you know what I mean? But either way, it didn't matter, because as we know, while they were all talking, what are we going to do? Fucking she wanted to die a dragon rider's death. And that 12-year-old girl we seen from that, who we felt horrible for, was so innocent little flower, standing in front of the oldest granny of a dragon, this is because she's a lady, Granny Vagar, and saying, fucking Dracarys. And you can see Vagar's like, no,
the pain,
don't make me do it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something's cool. So they allude to it during the couple of the episodes, or that dragons, you're connected to your dragon.
Mm-hmm.
When Damon is on the stepstones and he's fighting the crab king or whatever, crab king, when he's fighting Mr. Crab, he fucking the dragon's getting pelted with fucking arrows, but it's not feeling it. It's bouncing off the dragon. But as soon as Aemon gets one, Araxes, I think is the dragon's name, just goes, it screams for him.
Yep.
And then in the scene in the future, you notice when one of our favorite characters is given birth, you can see the dragon in pain too, and reacting to the pain. I wonder if in this, when Vagar was born in Lena and Valerian or whatever, fucking probably Targaryen now that she married Damon. I wonder if Vagar, old Granny Vagar, felt. Oh yeah, chills. That was the end of her.
Literal chills.
Now, that's where that ends Damon's arc, I believe, of trying to be on the straight and narrow in Essos. Now,
well, I think
Kristen, now. Okay, oh yeah,
sorry.
Keep going. I'm happy to keep going.
No. With what you were just saying there with his arc, I think not necessarily that moment, but it was at the wake, I suppose, when they're all there, and he's just standing on his own. I think, you know, he's looking around, and there's a lot of still that plotting shit going on now that his family's all there, and you can see he looks pretty fed up. You know, and then his brother.
Oh, he's ruined. He's to the point where nothing matters anymore. Kind of like, I think he's kind of giggling a little bit. One sense of it, he's like,
like the worst part of your
what
family.
What an actor! What an actor as well. Matt Smith doing this. I thought he was such a little fucking Doctor Who looking fucker to be doing this role. Wow.
Yeah, man. Does it
so many different things.
But anyway, sorry.
But yes. Sir Kristen, now serving Alicent, goads Sir Harwin Strong into attacking him. Now, how this happened was, there was the Strong boys, who are now Rhaena's 3 boys, who don't look Targaryen, as we were talking about earlier, or Valerian. They're getting watched over by by Harwin Strong, who seems to be giving a shit when Kristen told maybe he's favouring Alicent's children over Rhaenyra's children. And he kind of goads him into attacking him, which kind of then suggests to everyone, see? Yeah. Kind of like you're coming after them more like a father. Kristen Cole is now like dick. Like, we hate Kristen Cole now, everybody. Whereas before we were like, poor Kristen getting fucking... Kristen Cole's a dick now. Yeah. And he is angry and he hates Rhaenyra. But maybe that elder one is his son, as we were talking about earlier, but who knows? The ease family strife, because now there's all weirdness. Rhaenyra actually proposes Jacaerys marry Helena, who is Alicent's daughter, with Viserys, which Alicent rejects. And shortly after, disgraced Sir Harwin after that incident, he bids Rhaenyra and his strong boys farewell, and he goes with his father, the Hand of the King now, Lionel Strong, back to Harrenhal, now, where he's now going to be the Lord of the Castle.
But over that incident, Lionel tries to hand in being the hand, or hand in his position, because he knows the truth about the boys. Yep. Now, like Old Man Strong, Lionel, it's when you compare him
he's
to
a good
Otto,
dude.
Yeah, when you compare him to Otto, he's selfless. He's, I suppose, everything that you would want in that position. He's honourable, and the decisions he's making, not once has he put his sons forward as...
or even himself.
Yeah.
But no, even Viserys asked him,
are you going to put your son forward?
What about your son? And he's like, you need to marry a Velaryon and tie that up. And that's, I think, when Viserys was like, you're the only one who doesn't want to fucking, yeah, shows Lionel Strong. Now, whether that was, it shows strong character, but in the end,
yeah,
but in the end,
I thought there was more to that.
But just like in Game of Thrones, those who do the right thing, sometimes, like Ned Stark, get the axe. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get your hand dirty in this Game of Thrones, and yeah. So they are all heading back to Harrenhal Castle. Now, Alicent then confides in Sir Lionel's youngest son, the Clubfoot. Now, we've seen the Clubfoot earlier on kind of hovering around a bit, dragging his leg. And we just see him kind of hanging out with the ladies. He's not really hanging out. He's gossiping. He's not... He doesn't seem to be one of the lads. And it turns out he's actually kind of like a mix between Baelish or Littlefinger and Varys, which is funny because his name is Larys. Littlefinger, Varys, Larys.
I never picked up on that.
I mean, like literally, now I picked that up. But she actually can. He fucking boom's going crazy. But she actually confides in him and says,
crazy.
I think my boom gone crazy. With the M&M back there, Haley song. But anyway.
Yeah,
anyway, it needs to be my catchphrase. She wishes her father, Sir Otto, still King's Hand. She's talking to the Clubfoot. And what happens is then you can see the cogs working. He recruits some criminals who with their tongues cut off, which is an amazing scene. See what he see his operation then, because he's so unassuming.
Yep.
And then you're getting a glimpse into, okay,
this motherfucker's connected. Fuck. Yeah.
And he doesn't give a fuck about his family, as we know, because he then gets those three people who cannot speak now, because he gets them off death row basically. Gets them to set fire to Harrenhal, killing the Hand of the King, Lionel, and Harwin Strong, bone breakers, the father of Rhaenyra's children.
So he does benefit from that though, because then he becomes the Lord of Harrenhal. So, but yeah, it's a pretty intense scene that, because not only that it was their son and brother that did it.
I think he felt slighted, because I think that he expected Harwin to be on the Kingsguard. And to when you're a member of the Kingsguard, you can't you're celibate.
Yes.
So you're not supposed to have kids or anything like that. And you can't have houses. So Larys was like, okay, I'm going to get Harrenhal.
Yeah, yeah.
But then when, so this is what Lionel didn't think of, that he was slighting his own son, basically by saying, how about you just let me Let him leave the King's Guard. Go home and be the Lord of Harrenhal instead. Bad move. Now, Harrenhal has always been, if you remember from Game of Thrones, it's always been seen as haunted and bad place and no one wants to own there. Like, even Littlefinger, I think, ends up inheriting it.
Was he?
I think he ends up getting Harrenhal.
Yeah,
and earlier on, the Mountain is torturing motherfucking people there.
Yeah. Well, that's where they take Arya and all that, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's Arya and Robert's bastard.
Yeah.
What was his name again?
And Pot Pie.
Hot Pie, yeah.
Robert's bastard.
What's his fucking Gendry?
Yeah, Gendry. Yep.
Yeah.
Gets raped by the red woman. Red priest.
Hey. There's been rougher rapes out there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
You don't mean to me, but he was, in fairness. Now, in this time, Rhaenyra, angry, moves her whole household to Dragonstone, bringing Laenor's
scared
also
as well.
over.
Yeah.
Well, she's like, shit's going down. There's some movements happening.
My protection's now gone. Like,
But it also doesn't look great for her, does it? Because she's reacting to that death. So the rumors keep going. Strong boys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think she works out.
That's the end of episode 6. That's the end of episode 6.
She works out that there's wheels in motion there that are moving too quickly, and they're all moving against her. So she needs to get the boys the fuck out of there, as well as herself.
That's right. To look after.
Yeah. So it's interesting, that move too, because it removes her as a sort of protector for her own father in King's Landing, which
Also,
opens up
she's
the
the
door.
heir.
She is,
And she's not visibly in front of people all the time. She's not keeping that repertoire. If you look at even Game of Thrones, Marjorie Tyrell, she knew she was going to be queen. She had to be loved by the people. She had to be there. She had to keep her name positive in the eyes of the commoners. When these debates about who's going to be the next heir come into place, you want to be on the good side of it. Again, it's another kind of show of Rhaenyra being all Targaryen, showing her kind of Damon-y side. You know what I mean? Like, fuck this. You know what I mean? But anyway, episode 7.
Yes.
All right, do you have anything else to say about that?
No, I was gonna, and I was trying to remember which episode it was in, but it is episode 7 where they have the wake, isn't it?
Oh, who? Laena?
Yeah.
Yeah, funeral.
Yes. Yeah.
Episode 7, Driftmark. King Viserys and his court attend Lady Laena's funeral in Driftmark. Rhaenyra and Damon reunite and are physically in. However, let's go back to the funeral. It's kind of cool how the Valarians took the coffin down into the water, right? And I like how he, instead of giving her a Targaryen death, which she already kind of had herself.
That's true.
Okay, I guess she got the best of both worlds. Like, they also kind of
Targaryen
Valarian death.
Targaryen death with a Valerian funeral.
Yeah. Now, and her, now remember everybody, her dragon was Vhagar. And Vhagar is all alone now.
I'm
and
all
who's
alone.
someone earlier on? Who's someone earlier on in last episode that we didn't talk about who couldn't get a dragon to match him?
This would be Aemond.
Aemond. The younger brother. We didn't even talk about him last episode.
Didn't.
It's our bad. Little bug-eyed Aemond. Two big eyes on him there.
He's a
they're bullying him. Oh, but didn't your heart go out to him when he's like making fun of me? What did he say? It's like, what did he say again? Oh, I can't remember. My heart went out to the little kid. He's getting bullied by the strong boys and his older brother because he hasn't got a dragon. He's the only one who a dragon hasn't bonded with yet. They pulled out a pig. They called his dragon the Pink Dread, after obviously the Black Dread, Valerion, who's the biggest of all the dragons to come from Valyria to Westeros. And he's distraught. But here he is at the funeral, the wake of Laena Valerion Targaryen, or whatever the fuck.
The one who got burnt to a crisp.
And El Granny Vhagar is sitting there. El Granny Vhagar watching MASH, unassuming, thinking, this is me. That's it. Wonder when Wheel of Fortune's coming on. And all of a sudden, little Aemond comes down. And he claims Vhagar as his dragon. He climbs up on top of Vhagar. And
goes through riding.
It's awesome. Yeah. Now, when he gets back, this causes an altercation with his cousins and nephews, in which, protecting his brother Lucerys, Aemond looks like he's about to kill fucking. If you're looking at the scene, looks like he's about to kill or seriously wound Lucerys. He's got a rock. And out of nowhere, Lucerys does a bit of pocket sand, which is a cool ass. A little bit of pocket sand is a good kung fu trick from back in the day. Chucks it in his eye, and then Lucerys cuts him with a blade, taking out his eye. This now been brought before the king. Causes a whole stir. Alicent is freaking out. Her little baby boy has had his eye fucking lost, and she wants retribution. And with a Valyrian steel dagger, the Song of Ice and Fire dagger, Alicent tries to cut Lucerys, but Rhaenyra jumps in the way, and she gets her arm slit. And then she also calls her kids bastards. Or insinuates to it. Viserys then says, decrees anyone question their legitimacy will be silenced. And that's kind of the end of that.
He's threatened to cut the tongue out. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's interesting in the scene, you kind of see after that, okay, it goes to Otto Hightower, who suddenly is back in King's Landing again, and he's got himself his little brooch, his little hand of the king fucking
badge on.
So he's back now. So obviously when Lionel Strong was born to death, Viserys is like, okay, I need people close to me. My hand of the king was just fucking murdered in his house. I'm getting Otto back. Who else can I go to? So he brings back Otto. Otto is assuring Alicent now that they're going to prevail, and while Rhaenyra and Damon unite against their horse.
Now, there's something else interesting that happens at the end of this episode, and I text you right when it happened. So, as you were saying...
Oh, wait, yeah, right.
Yeah, because so Rhaenyra and Damon have just reunited, and she says...
And they've kind of decided...
We're going to be fucking weird and marry. So...
Well, it kind of's like, your betrothed's dead. The person who's the father of my kids, at least, is dead.
No, he wasn't dead.
We need to get together. The father?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, her husband's still alive, father's dead. Yeah.
So they decide, because I think that shows the contrast.
Yep.
She looked at Harwin the same way Dana looked at Laena, and kind of Laenor he's the political... Even though he did raise them as his kids.
He's the buffer. Well, he wasn't at that stage. Remember they had that conversation, and he admits, like... Yeah,
you're never fucking... You want to do your thing. Yeah.
So, that... Yeah, I dead set thought he was... Yeah. I thought he was dead.
It kind of seems like they're like, we got to kill Laenor, sadly.
Yep.
But they don't. What seems like Sir Carl, who's like... It's like they go to his boyfriend, and it looks like Damon's like, kill him, take this money, and go overseas. But what Damon really told him was, take this money and fake his death by burning the carcass, and then go overseas. That's what happens. After faking his death, Laenor secretly is marked with Carl, and they're actually going, funnily enough, because the Stepstones War has kicked off again. So they're off to fight in that war.
Yeah,
and I think that's the end of episode.
That's the end of the episode, because when you text me and you're saying...
That's where you came in today, wasn't it?
No, the episode before was where I came in.
Yep.
So yeah, because that was... I can't even remember what you said. But I texted you, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just up to the stage. Oh mate, just got burnt to a crisp. And then you were like,
oh man, Laenor died. And I was like,
up. Yeah,
he's not on episode 9.
You were replying. Yeah, because I thought I was...
I was like, how can I reply without spoiling it in case it spoiled it? And because I wasn't sure that old mate died. I thought maybe you meant someone else burned or something. And I was like...
Yeah, no. I looked down and I saw the dots like you were replying. And then I looked up and watched again, and next minute he's jumped into a boat. And I went, no,
Yeah, he's got the shaved head.
Motherfuckers. I'm like, no,
He's gone full American History X. Hold on. Well, we got the time now to talk about the old Valerians. Valerians are black.
Yes.
How's the store before it all? Doesn't it just not matter? Don't you just not give a shit? Doesn't it actually doesn't it actually make them different than the Targaryens but Valerians at the same time? I actually think it's a great move.
I don't see the problem at all. I don't understand. I mean, we had this discussion, even with, the notorious Black Elf in Rings of Power.
And we'll get into that when we do Rings of Power, because that still gets too much hate because of that.
So, and I still, I'll say it again, anybody that's going to look at a fictional TV show with fictional characters and get the shits about their skin color, just fuck off. Because what does it matter? To those people that say for black people, they see those characters, they feel represented. So to them, yes, it means something. For middle-aged fucking white dude getting the shits because there is a black character in there, like, you're racist, dumb motherfucker, just shut up and fuck off, because it doesn't matter. Those actors, every single one of them have done a fantastic job. They play.
The sea snake is a fucking shit, man.
He
commands respect.
Absolutely. He's just that that rock, I suppose.
That's a great way of saying it. Yeah.
They play those characters really well, and they represent that family and that faction really well. And it is a cool.
But also, it adds a dynamic to the show. It actually makes the whole they don't look Valerian to another level. You know what I mean? It increases, it enhances the show. And another thing, they're supposed to be from two classes. Even Corlys talks about how the Targaryens back in old Valyria were like their dragon riders. You know what I mean? And that we had to work ourselves up. So, you know what I mean? It kind of shows that real world, the global south trying to raise up and be something else. And that's why Corlys, it adds so much more to the Valerians. I love it. And I also think, like you said, the acting's superb. And that's all that fucking matters.
And I don't understand the being upset over the diversity. I mean, if you've got an all-white cast, and
that's what they used to.
Yeah, I know.
That's why. They used to having it all this, all mine, all this, and then they wouldn't notice it if it wasn't for the fact that it's so alien to them. It's like, hold on, this is supposed to be ours. It's like, the reason why you think it's ours is because you've seen something, you identify it because it looks like you, embrace it and you love it. Sorry, but now the creators of this show, from which George R. R. Martin writes and is part of every single episode of House of the Dragon. Okay, so I'm sorry about you, mate. But now, like Vinno said, it's so smart and it's so great because you're going to have little black kids. Now all of a sudden they see themselves in Westeros. And not just in Essos and some weird little clan. They're part of the show, you know what I mean?
They're riding dragons. They're fucking
important. They're the richest family there. They're, you know what I mean? And what great actors to do.
Yeah.
But, like I said, they're the dickheads.
Well, it's always the people that are trying to gatekeep the series. I mean, you saw that with Rings of Power. The whole argument there with the fuckwits that were complaining about the Black Elf, and they were referring to the books and the text and all those sorts of things and saying, oh, it's not in conjunction. Who gives a fuck? It's fiction, right?
Not real.
It's not
your
real,
heritage,
right? It's not like
the elves, mate.
It's not like you're trying to whitewash history there, right? Because it's
this
not
isn't
history.
Like,
it's
Martin Luther King being played by Matthew McConaughey.
That's
it's the elves, mate.
They're not real.
The elves, mate. Yeah.
Like,
this isn't fucking Idris Elba playing fucking Henry VIII. The elves, bro. The elves. Get over it.
I don't. It's just fucking dumb.
And you know what? I haven't finished Rings of Power. He's one of the best guys in. One of the best strong rock characters.
He's good, and he plays that character well. It's a fucking great character too, because he's just, he is once again that rock. He's a pivotal character in the whole, in a large portion of the story. So.
But we'll get to Rings of Power.
We'll get to Rings of Power. But yes.
Can I call a quick piss break?
You want another one? Well, fuck, it's nearly beat it out.
Well, is it piss break? Are we throwing another ad? Throw another ad in there? Or should it be piss break?
We'll mix it up. We'll do an ad. We'll do a piss break, and then if you need another one, we'll go for another ad.
Another
ad. Yeah, we'll alternate it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll call it now. I'll call. Hey, everybody. Oh no, here we're not even cutting it. Buddy, piss break. Back, everybody. Now look, we're gonna punch through these ones. We promise we're not gonna.
I've had me rant.
We'll halt on the Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings / social inequality. We'll leave to the side for the moment to just try and finish our House of the Dragon with a review. But here, we're on episode 8, everybody. 6 years on. Corlys Valerian, the Sea Snake, the fucking Driftmark legend of himself, the Lord of the Tides, has been severely wounded and is fighting a fever in the Stepstones. Or is injured in the Stepstones, fighting a fever back at Driftmark. His brother, Sir Vaemond, is petitioning King's Landing to name him Corlys' heir, because he reckons that Rhaenyra's sons, Lucerys and Jacaerys. Well, Lucerys is the one that was going to be named Lord of Driftmark. But he's a strong boy.
Once again, they're coming into question. Yep.
Here we go. Now, Rhaenyra and Damon, they've returned to the capital to defend Lucerys' claim as the Lord. Now, I won't say it. They're all there. They're debating Otto Hightower, because Viserys is fucked. Viserys is fucked now. He's deteriorating to shit. He is barely moving. He's on milk of the poppy to move. He's not really
missing an eye, half his face.
Oh, dude,
he's fucked.
He's bedridden, and so before all is decided, because they know they're going to have to go towards Otto Hightower, Rhaenyra and Damon return to the capital, and they basically they talk to him and say, "You got to help us. Please defend my succession, and remember the Conqueror's dream." Remember, Rhaenyra said that. While this is happening, Alicent is covering up Prince Aemon's rape. Prince Aegon, the new Prince Aegon, he's a rapist. The crazy wild man, drunk, running around the capital. Okay, in the background, Rhaenyra proposes a marriage as well to the Velaryon household to keep them on side. She does this with Rhaenys because obviously Corlys is fucked. He's fighting
out of the picture.
Now, this has happened. Let's talk a little bit before the decision in the throne room.
The juicy part, yeah.
Oh, how do we feel? They've came back because they've heard, okay, going to be questioned. The Driftmark's up for grabs now. If he gets the Driftmark, that's like saying those boys are not Velaryons.
So this was touching back on what I was saying about Rhaenyra going to the Dragonstone and leaving her father to essentially the Hightowers. You see that, and they realise it as well. And the question about the milk of the poppy coming into it, clouding his judgment. You see the deterioration there, and essentially the Hightowers are in power at this stage. They're making the decisions on behalf of the king. So you see Damon and Rhaenyra's concerned about that, but you also see a lot of compassion come from Damon towards his brother. He realizes himself how far his brother has dropped, and not
He
getting
looks like a different person, he said.
yeah, and not getting too much into the throne room, but stepping forward and helping him up the stairs.
Oh,
which
man.
that was a very powerful moment, and even
Well, let's skip to the throne room then.
All right.
Let's skip
Yeah.
to it. Let's skip to it. We're in the throne room. Otto Hightower's there. Damon's there making his claim. Or he's about to make his claim. Rhaenys. Fucking Valerians and...
So hang on.
Rhaenys is there.
Otto Hightower is on the throne, sitting
She's
on the throne.
hand of the king, acting as the king.
Yep.
Rhaenys comes up to talk, and she said, my husband, Corlys, is fighting a fever right now, and he makes the decision who his heir is. Right now, he has named Lucerys the heir to Driftmark.
No, so that doesn't happen until Viserys comes in. So remember, it's
Does she make that to Viserys?
No.
Who does he knock back then? Rhaenyra. He knocks back Rhaenyra.
Yeah, so Corlys' brother steps up first. Damon steps up first and makes his claim.
That's when Viserys is already there, isn't it?
No. So Otto Hightower's on the throne. Damon steps up and makes his claim and puts himself forward as a heir. During that, Rhaenyra tries to interject, and she's shut down by the Queen, by Alicent. During that process, Rhaenyra has just steps up to make her claim on behalf of her son, and then the doors open. There's a big noise, and all of a sudden Viserys,
here comes King Viserys.
Yeah, walks up. They all freeze. Otto Hightower steps down from the throne and just stands at the steps. So he makes this long-winded walk.
What a walk!
All the way up. Gets to
I
Otto.
shall sit the throne today.
Yeah, and you can
how
see
good
the
is Paddy
frustration.
Constantine during this? The pain in every step.
Well, even the scene
Every
before
step.
that, when he's sitting up and they're treating his wounds and redressing them, and
No milk of the poppy.
Yeah, and you can just see, you get a better picture of just how much weight he's lost and how sick he really is. So it really makes that walk.
Well, he makes that decision, right?
He does.
He's like, I can either. It's like, to be in my right mind, I have to be in pain.
Yes,
That's what he did. He chose pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes that walk to the throne even more powerful, right? Because it's
he's fucked. Yeah. No milk.
and this is a big thing for him. So then,
I interrupted a scene earlier that you were about to talk about, Damon. That's the next step.
Yeah. So
What
as he's walking up to the throne, Kingsguard try and help him up, and he says, "No, I've got it." As he's walking up, he drops his crown, and he stops and goes to pick it up, but another hand comes in and picks it up, and he says again, "Leave me," and then turns and sees that it's Damon. And this is where you see that empathetic side of Damon, and you can see Viserys almost light up when he sees
The
it.
love between the brothers.
Yeah.
He's here, my bro. Yeah.
And he's helping me in my time of need.
Didn't he say, come on?
Yeah.
Yes, come on.
Come on.
Oh,
And up they go.
Beautiful.
So then it's at that point when he says, the only person that should be speaking about this.
Damon puts the crown back on his head.
Yeah. But then he says, so the only person that should be speaking on behalf of Corlys is his wife. And he calls her to step forward. So I don't know why we're in discussions about.
Yeah, because he's like, I made myself clear.
Yeah. He's just so confused, and he says that. He says, excuse my confusion, but why is there petitions regarding this situation? The only one
Is that when Vaemond arcs up?
No. So then he calls. So Valerius calls up his cousin, Rhaenys.
Viserys.
Rhaenys, and says, what is essentially what is Corlys' position. She steps up and says, Corlys wants the line to pass down onto the Lycaris. That's what he wants. So then Viserys just goes, well, that's the decision. That's it. We're not even petitioning it. Then Damon steps up and protests. So he steps forward and challenges the decision from the king and tells him, you know, you're making decisions about my family. This is my line. This is my lineage. What are you doing? He then, under challenge of Damon, calls Rhaenyra's sons bastards.
Well, before that, he got threatened. He said, with the tongue. He said, I'll have your tongue. Yes. He still said it.
Well, that's when under challenge from.
So he knew he must have knew he was going to die, right?
Yeah. Well,
anyway, or at least have his tongue taken.
Yeah, he felt that strongly about it. What blew me away, right, was, he's standing there, and not long after he's called them bastards, and Viserys gets up and grabs the dagger, like he's
and a whore.
Pissed. Yeah, calls Rhaenyra as a whore, and then. Oh. The shot is on Damon, and next minute, just the top of his head pops off. And when I say the top of his head, like there's tongue poking out, it's just clean as. And
his tongue still. Did he say he can keep his tongue?
He can keep his tongue. Fuck. And I was just sitting there watching it, and then that happened. And I was like, "What the fuck?" That was serious.
That was fucking serious. But they still give him a proper fucking.
They do.
Driftmark funeral and all.
Did you pick up though?
Damon,
man. And did you also notice when that happens, Aemon one eye? When
he loves it.
He does.
He looks up to Damon. He's like, I want to be like Damon.
And you can see a lot of young Damon in Aemon.
Yeah.
And yeah, just that scene, he sort of looks at him and he's got this bit of respect. Speaking of Aemon,
well, that's quickly, when we're seeing Aemon now with one eye, right? We're seeing. Okay, well, that's Aemon grown up now.
So the guy that plays that, did you ever watch Last Kingdom?
I haven't seen him. I haven't watched.
Right. He plays a warrior priest in that. And he's a very lovable character in that TV show. And it was when I was watching it today, and you see him growing up. I'm like, I didn't know that face, but with the eye patch over, I couldn't.
With the mouth, his mouth is unquestionable, right?
Yeah, man. And then it clicked. I'm like, fuck. And it just goes to show, his level of acting going from.
He's a great eye.
He's
Aemon immediately again, like you were saying, a lot of people found it hard in that first half and second half of the season to latch on to these new characters. He's one of those that you're immediately. Catches you. He's one of those Damon characters where he pulls focus.
He does, and it's focus. That evil look that he has. It's very not trying to think of the word. It's just very antagonistic,
schemy.
Sort of, he is, but very dangerous and quiet. And you see that later
on. With one eye, he's able to give you that, like, yeah. But anyway, look, getting into Aemon. The family appears to reconcile during a feast. Viserys takes his mask off. And he's like, for fuck's sake, basically. And everyone then starts to kind of say, well, I'm thankful for this person. And Aemon then was like, well, I'm thankful for these strong boys. They're so strong. And
just antagonizing.
And then they kind of stand up and he goes, what? Do you not see yourself as strong? Or something like that. Or whatever. Because it kind of kicked off a bit earlier when they put that pig in front of him. Did you notice that?
Yep.
They put that pig in front of him and Luke kind of went, ha. And Aemon's like, all right.
We're on.
You're all bastards.
You laugh at me about the pink dress.
Yeah, he has another kind of head clash. That's his first kind of run in with Damon then, right? And they kind of, I think they both recognize real.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's that respect level, I think, that he has for Damon after the incident in the throne room. He doesn't challenge. He walks off. He submits. So it's but that's where you see just how antagonistic Aemond is. And it leads to, leads into the last episode with the events that transpire there, which we won't get to until that one. But it really sets the stage for where his character is now. After losing that eye, he's almost overconfident with the fact that he now has a dragon. But you see the scene as well where he's in the training yard and he's quite accomplished with a sword too. So he's very sure about himself.
But he's kind of, as opposed to Aegon, who is this drunkard hanging out in fucking brothels and degenerate fool. Aemond, you kind of see, doesn't want to be around that, and I guess we'll get into that later when the hunt for Aegon happens. But even when he was a kid, he was willing to marry his sister before Aegon was. He was like, I'll marry Helena and I will... and we haven't talked a lot about Helena, but Helena is their sister who kind of just is in Spaceland and is talking about prophecies, but us as the point of view watcher can kind of see her... okay, she can see the future.
Yep.
But he is ready.
She predicts
he says earlier on.
She predicts him losing his eye.
Losing his eye. She predicts a lot more.
He will get a dragon, right? But he'll have to close one eye.
He'll have to close an eye.
Yeah.
And as well, have you noticed Aemon's actually not only was he willing to marry her and have kids with her, he said to his brother, he's also very protective of her. Because when something happens further down the line, when someone dies and they're all looking for Aegon, it's funny how he's the first one that goes to check on Helena. He's the first one to check on Helena and her kids.
And I think that's like you were saying with Damon, real recognised as real. He has got a lot of the qualities. The
family man.
He's reckless, which we see again. I think the kids are his. You reckon?
I think Aegon's never home and he's obviously horn off doing his thing. And I think Aemond has been keeping the family long because he loves her. And he's the only one who gave a shit.
Yeah.
I will get into when they're all looking for everyone. Right. When they go to tell Helena, this person's dead, where's Aegon? When Aemond rushes in to see if she's all right. He's immediately trying to look after the kid. But anyway, that's another little...
End of episode 8.
Yeah.
End of episode...
Now, that's 9.
It's the end of episode 8 where... Where
But they're looking for
Aegon we haven't,
in episode 9.
There's a crucial thing that happens at the end of episode 8 which we haven't touched on. So after the family feast... Yeah, after the family feast.
Yeah. So Viserys retires early because he's fucked, because he's dying like a motherfucker. And lo and behold, there he is in his chamber, dying. He is talking shit. He's on milk of the poppy. He's off his brains. And Alicent comes in. And she's like, yeah, okay, what's up? I'll give you more milk of the poppy. Yeah. He's like, oh, Aegon is the prince who was promised. Because he thinks he's talking to Rhaenyra about the prophecy. But Alicent's like, Aegon, he's the prince that's promised. And she's reading into this and she thinks Aegon. Heir. And he dies and she runs off with the wrong idea. That's the end of episode 8. Yep.
Yes.
Episode 9.
Which...
Well, okay, well, let's talk about the repercussions really, really quick of that misunderstanding.
Well, it sets up the whole.
Do you think she would have bothered?
No, I think after her and Rhaenyra's make amends at the dinner,
she was fine.
She was fine. She was back to, and you saw it when she said, "You'll make a great queen," right? Which is why that event is so crucial at the end of episode 8, because it then sparks Alicent into action for episode 9, which then leads on to the events that we're going to see in the next few seasons. So I think, after the dinner, she had put to rest any thoughts about putting Aegon on the throne. I think she had just accepted the fate that Rhaenyra was going to be queen.
Yeah.
But then after hearing that...
But she respected Viserys so much.
She did, yeah.
That I think she was like, okay, well, this is his last wish. Because she was broken up when he died.
Yep.
She was. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think had that scene hadn't happened, that those events hadn't transpired, then, essentially it's Rhaenyra on the throne.
And as an added, I guess, Easter egg, Paddy Considine in his dying scene, which right now we're saying goodbye to Paddy Considine in the series, so everybody like King Viserys, what a Great performance. Job. But he said in his performance, when he was dying, he says, "My love." You hear that? That's his last thing he says, and to him, that's him seeing like he met Aemma. He's back with Aemma again.
Well, he references that. Remember, he calls Alicent that at the funeral. Yep, he calls her the wrong name. So there's already that seed there, and yes, he's when he passes, like he's at peace and back with.
My favourite scene was the one you mentioned earlier, and while we're saying goodbye to Paddy Considine, when he makes that walk to the throne. You remember when the crown fell?
Yep.
Improv.
Oh, really?
So Matt Smith comes over to him, and that's all improv.
Right.
And putting it on his head again is improv. Look that up, because I know you would have only watched all that shit today.
Yeah.
You look into that.
Yeah,
it's all improv. That fell off accidentally because of the way he was moving.
Fucking hell.
And they put it, and the whole idea was Matt was going to carry it with him to the thing. And then when the crown wasn't supposed to fall off. Matt Smith was just supposed to help him. And the whole putting the crown back on his head before he walked away was all improv.
Yep.
Mad. What beautiful performance. George R. R. Martin as well said about Paddy Considine. He said he gave Viserys Targaryen a much more regal majesty than I could have ever hoped for. He did him better than he wrote him.
Yep.
Because Fire and Blood, everybody, was written from the point of view of like maesters and court jesters and stuff. All of Game of Thrones is all point of view. So like you'll have a Jon Snow chapter and you'll have a this chapter and that chapter. But this was a whole just maesters recalling history. We're watching a show now and we're actually seeing the point of the characters.
Yep.
It was unbelievable. But here we are, episode 9.
Episode
9. After Viserys' death, Sir Otto, small council plot to crown Prince Aegon. And Sir Criston actually kills Lord Beesbury. He opposes the scheme.
Shows another...
What do you think of that?
I wouldn't say I was surprised, right? Because Criston Cole's just turned into a dick. He's very loyal now to the Hightowers. He has shown how far he's willing to go to protect secrets, in the sense that killing Joffrey, not Joffrey, Lionel's boyfriend. Yeah, at the ball or the wedding ball.
Oh yeah, Joffrey.
Yeah, it was Joffrey. Yeah. So his character has deteriorated to the point where his honor and his integrity has been, severely diminished to the point where he will do anything. He's just
for the fam.
He's ruthless. So So yeah, I wouldn't say I was surprised.
You say that, but as we see with the Kingsguard Lord Commander Harold Westerling, who's a legend during the whole series. He's like, this is bollocks.
And a dwarf.
And he's about to fucking whack the shit out of Kristen Cole too. But he leaves, and then Kristen Cole becomes the fucking Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
Yep. So
he does pretty well for himself, really. In the end, I guess he shows this is whose side I'm on. But they kind of make it like, and here's the thing: in the books, apparently he cuts his throat. But in the show, I think they kind of make it look like it's an accident, right? He's like, "Stop it! Sit back down."
Yeah.
Like, I whacked his head off the marble. Which the marbles were awesome as well, by the way. The table marbles. I like that. I like the table marbles.
Black ones. I might get one.
In hindsight, not a great fucking OH&S fucking... like, I can see a risk here. What if someone smashes your head into it because he's a mad incel from back in the day?
Yeah. I see what you mean. And it's like, even though I've got the book there behind me, I haven't read the whole thing. So, yeah, if it's...
What do you think of that it was a bit of an accident? He was like, sit down. He didn't mean to kill him. Maybe they meant to... Is Kristen Cole just an erratic person now? Are they trying to show that, he's doing things and killing people even by accident?
I think they should have kept it deliberate, because...
I would have preferred the throat slit.
Yeah, because he is... throughout, he's always been a calm, calculated sort of...
Exactly.
Character.
He's not a bumbling dickhead.
He's not. He's not erratic. He does give in to impulse. Obviously, we've seen with Rhaenyra, and then with the fight that he had in the ballroom.
Aaron.
But the fight that he had, with Harren Strong, was
calculated.
That was calculated, right? He was enticing a reaction. So to have him as, killing somebody by accident, I think. It's either showing, either they're trying to leave...
Joffrey was accidental, right? Like, in the sense of, it's like...
Well, that's what I mean. He gives into impulse.
If I kill this guy in front of everybody, I'm throwing caution to the wind. It's a bad move. It's strategically, like, you know what I mean? So it kind of shows him as, he's calculated, he's cool. He's also this person that can be overcome with irrational violence.
Yeah, give into impulse. As we saw, like the rational decision when it came down to Rhaenyra, and you saw that he was struggling with that. He was either choosing between the Kingsguard.
He had Poontang. He had Queen Poontang on tap. And he's like, nah, because you wouldn't run away with me, an orange bow.
Because I'm just on because I'm on call. No,
oh, come on, mate.
So, do you reckon that's the real reason that he's angry?
I don't know. Maybe it's the celibacy shit. Because he's that guy, when you have all those mega preachers who are against homosexual marriage, and then they always end up found somewhere.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like that, because you always see him like a woman's fucking. You should always have a woman's name in reverence and all. It's like, dude, you were smashing the queen, and then you were.
I still reckon he is. I reckon he's tapping Alison on the side. Because her husband's been crook.
He's getting busy.
Yeah, I think they've been very comfortable. So I think he is still slapping Queen cheeks, but
cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I probably would have named a different body part after her. Her father's the hand and she is the foot. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that because that's a very important part of all this.
Anyway.
So look, everybody. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah. Kingsguard Lord Commander Harold Westerling resigns in protest. Otto keeps Viserys' death secret to fortify the council's position. Actually, quickly, let's talk about the council. It's like Alicent was like, okay, everybody, I'm usurping the throne. And they were like, oh, yeah, we've been planning this for ages. And the Lannisters and all, they were in on it and all. So funny that like she thought she was making this bold move. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've kind of been pushing it in this way the whole time.
Well, the Lannisters were predictable, right?
They're bad guy material.
Yeah, but you could see at the moment, Jason Lannister got knocked back for the Hand of Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
He was enticing them.
Do you reckon that's what it was? Do you reckon he was burnt?
He
got burned.
I mean, as you can see, even with in Game of Thrones, Lannisters are there and they'll do anything to solidify their position. So obviously that failing, then they go to the next best thing, and the next best thing is getting cuddly with the High Towers and pushing that agenda. So that wasn't surprising at all. But even the small council, because, and this is where Rhaenyra going back to Dragonstone affected them again, because they haven't got that seat at the table. They're not around. Yeah. So, they're just not even seen as being legitimate in that sense. So,
well, even when Otto's calling all the lords of the houses to King's Landing, and he's pulling up all their ambassadors and their representatives, he's coercing these people into changing their position. Whereas they probably could not have done that if Damon and Rhaenyra were there.
No.
But they're getting noble houses to switch their allegiance to Aegon, and then those resisting, you're actually seen to be imprisoned and ultimately hanged and hung for people to see, right?
Yeah. I didn't see it as so much they were. It is a usurper, but I don't think, as we were touching on like throughout, and the show itself touches on, but especially that scene when Rhaenyra is named heir and they've all got to come and swear fealty to her. There is a lot of those lords that are reluctant to do it. So,
well, they're there because who's the king at the time? Viserys, and what's he telling me to do? Bend the knee to this person? Okay.
Yeah. So
I feel like whoever's telling them to bend the knee, they're going to bend the knee to.
That's right. So there was that reluctancy to do it then, though, because it was the first female to be named heir. So yeah.
But Otto they're systematically killing people, chasing people down, and ultimately locking up Rhaenys as well. Anyone that could be seen as a possible
threat to
who's going to challenge the claimant of that throne.
Yep.
They're sorting out immediately. They're trying to spin this thing really, really fast.
Yep.
And he actually the big issue then becomes, okay, where's Aegon? We need to grab him right now, and we need to fucking secure that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And the hunt for Aegon begins.
Because he's not standing in the window jacking off into the streets.
He's not that kid anymore. He's found his way into the streets, right? And here, before we do this, it's an interesting dynamic. The last two episodes, in episode 9, is purely focused on the Greens and the High Towers, and their job in solidifying their claim to the throne. So they send Eric and Arik Cargoyle, who are two Kingsguard, to look for Aegon. But then you also have Alicent Hightower wants to find it before Otto Hightower. She wants to find them because they both disagree on what to do with Rhaenyra. They want to get in Aegon's ear, and they want to be the first one to kind of get control over Aegon about what they're going to do with Rhaenyra and Damon and everything. So Otto's got Eric and Arik, and then you've got Alicent has sent Sir Criston Cole and Aemond Targaryen.
Yep.
And this was a little bit after that scene I was talking about. Aemond ran in after Viserys' death.
So the first thing he's done is
Helen. He was like, "Where's Helena and the kids? Are they okay?"
Yeah.
Why does he give a shit? But anyway,
we'll get into that.
Maybe they'll be strong boys, and it'll be real hypocritical of him to be.
Would be
those bastards. You know what I mean? But that will show more. Maybe he understands now. You know, maybe now he understands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That could be so much depth to him, because I think next season, judging by the end of this season, they're gonna switch us. They're gonna switch us about who we give a crap about.
Yes.
Because right now, I think we're Team Black. The way the series has set us up, Otto's bad, Alicent's bad, Aemond's bad, Aegon's bad. But I think what the retaliation's going to be is going to make you think that
Well, you see that. Well,
Rhaenyra's bad.
yeah.
Damon's bad. Yeah, you know
You
what I
see
mean?
that in Rhaenyra,
I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And we'll get into episode
Could go
10 and why
anywhere.
she's getting ready to be the bad guy.
Yeah. But anyway, you've got there's a scene in this episode that I've seen it quite a bit. They're comparing it to a scene in Shrek.
I don't know this. What is it?
So, you know the scene when Rhaenys comes out, they're crowning.
No. We'll get to that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So they find Aegon. They find Aegon in the streets.
We're still on 9. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, they run through the streets. They find Aegon. There's a big battle between Eric and Arik and Aemond and Sir Criston, and they're like, there's a battle between who's going to get it. And then Otto Hightower does a deal with Damon's old flame to find them. And either way, Alicent actually ends up on top. And I think that Lord Varys' spies, including a lady in waiting out in the Red Crew, but they figured out some stuff. But we're going to talk about this scene real quick before we talk about the end of episode 9. Larys Strong seems to be exchanging his secrets of the realm with Alicent in return for pictures of her naked feet. You know, like to look at her feet and to masturbate. Tell me how you feel about this, Vinno.
Look, it didn't surprise me, right? The dude's a fucking weirdo, and he always had other intentions there, right? So you look at, and I compare him very much with Littlefinger in the sense that Littlefinger never did anything for anybody unless it was going to benefit him. You saw it with his whole, anybody that he would latch onto, there was always something in it for him, whether it was sexual or it was going to progress him.
Catelyn.
Yeah. So he's already taken Harrenhal, right? He knows that he's got her in a position where he can offer his services.
Well, she's guilty as well, right?
She is.
For all the things he's been doing for her. So he kind of can blackmail her, right?
He knows, he's got her in a pinch. So he could pretty much ask her anything at this point, I think, and she would deliver on it. So,
do you think, all right? Well, obviously and I think they do a great shot in this scene of showing him dragging his foot in. Yep. And then showing her perfect kind of feet, and that's his thing, you know, like, but you think in next season, when it's however many years down the line, that she'll be blowing him for stuff, and that, you know, like, do you think it's going to escalate, or do you think he's a foot dude? Do you think Quentin Tarantino's in the Shah, or do you think this is like they're going to show, he's such a manipulative cunt that was the foot thing was just his gate?
I think he is that manipulative that we will see more from him. Either
I hope we do.
Either he's going to get
the Clubfoot gets his shit.
Either he's going to get worse or he'll die. All right. So as we know with I as I said, I haven't read the book, so I haven't read the whole.
I've read the books and the fan theory and all attached to it and everything, but the beautiful thing about the show and the books is from the point of view of the Maesters. So and the great thing about Game of Thrones is like it's all unreliable narrators. Yeah. So you cannot trust what you're listening if it's from somebody, especially a Maester from Old Town. Yes. Where the Hightowers are from. So maybe Chinese the show is gonna, the show, Valarian Whispers, as a fucking the show can change shit. But okay, Aegon has been caught. They brought him to the throne room. They've got Rhaenyra down, caught. Oh no, Sir Eric, one of the Cargoyles who has been convinced Aemon's a scumbag, brother, goes and fucking frees Rhaenyra's. Rhaenys to go get her dragon because she's getting pushed towards the coronation, because all the commoners have decided to push towards the coronation because everyone needs to see this. But Rhaenys, during the coronation of King Aegon, escapes down to the dragon pit and gets her dragon, during the crowning, fucking
Bust.
comes in. He kills 1,000 commoners. He's right in front of the fucking the greens. Does nothing and leaves.
So that's
Why
the
didn't she
scene.
burn them all?
That's the scene that they're comparing to a scene in Shrek. You know when they're and Lord Farquaad is yeah, they're at the wedding there, and Donkey busts in with his dragon, and there's like people have just paired similarities to the two scenes, but frustrating.
Do something about it.
Frustrating, isn't it? But she does explain that in
Episode
the next.
10, she explain. I get it.
Yeah. However,
She's playing politics.
she is. But she's always.
She have to kill 1,000 commoners to do it.
Yeah, why not? They're just commoners, right?
But she had to escape the dragon pit because they were doing the coronation in the dragon pit. She had to. That's how she bust out.
Yep.
Right. It was their fault for trapping her to begin with, when really the best political decision they could have made was to release her and say, "Hey, make your decision, free to go, saved 1,000 people." But let's talk about the coronation real quick before we get to episode 10. Aegon didn't want to be king.
No. Well,
He wanted to get his dick sucked forever.
that's clear
However,
throughout his whole life. Yeah.
when he got to the coronation, and when he turned around and realized, oh, they'll all suck my dick, I think that's when a monster was born. I think that's when he said, oh, I will be king.
I think it's very much.
Because even he thinks that like he was like, "Mom, you're crazy." Remember when she was fucking?
Well, you remember. I
Like
think
Viserys didn't want this stop.
I think it's a very much gonna be, or very similar to Joffrey Baratheon, when didn't understand.
Worse, maybe.
Didn't understand what he was getting into. Essentially didn't want it until he had it, and then he realized, I've got all this power. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I'm looking forward to season 2 with Aegon Targaryen.
He doesn't appear in episode 10, so we don't get that insight as to
That
what
was
it's like.
again, and neither did in episode 9. Neither did any of the blacks who are Rhaenyra and Damon. They gave them each their own end episode, which I thought was a good idea.
Absolutely.
Although I kind of would have liked the coronation to be the end. I feel like that would have been powerful. However, this is cool.
Episode 10. We're fucking nearly 3
Rhaenys
hours.
arrives. I know, yeah. But here, it's a
good one.
fucking 12-hour show.
Yeah.
You know, when you add them all up. But anyway, Princess Rhaenys arrives on Dragonback. She's there. She's like, on Dragonback to Dragonstone. And she's like, hey, Rhaenyra, your dad's dead. And Prince Aegon is on the throne. They've usurped it. And this shocks Rhaenyra. Premature stillbirth of her child.
The dragon child.
What do you reckon? I'm going to put up a picture. We might have put it up earlier. And I want you to look, Vinno, because I know you've only watched these episodes today. But watch the artist rendition of it, because he was asked to make something like this. And it is half a dragon.
I'll definitely have a look. The dragon
But
child.
also, yeah.
So this also sparks Damon into becoming pretty irate. He's just lost his brother, and
He wants to go to town.
he does. And this is where you see.
He thinks they killed him.
Yeah, well, he had that. He was speculating about that when when he found the milk of the poppy, found that they were feeding it. Yeah, so he was already suspicious about their motives, and I think this, like, his brother dying has sort of confirmed almost a bias for him that yeah, they've killed my brother. So, and that's his justification for going down. And he's just got doesn't seem to have too much of a care about Rhaenyra in labour. He's
in the war room.
He is. He's focused on defending Dragonstone. He knows that they're going to come at some stage, and he starts planning the next moves.
So while he's doing this, right, in the background, Rhaenyra giving birth, right, to a kid that's probably a month or two premature. She will not accept any help from any of the handmaids or the maesters.
Midwives.
And she pretty much delivers a stillborn herself, right? Pretty chaotic. She's also told her kids, tell Damon nothing's to be done until I fucking go up there.
So her and Damon are married at this stage. I don't know that we...
Yes, they are married. Oh, did we talk about that?
No,
did they get married yet?
We talked about them clearing the way for them to be married, but they got married. So they're married and they've got two other kids together now.
Was that an episode?
That was 8 that they revealed that they've got 2 kids together. So she's essentially got 5. Yeah, well, that's when she went to Viserys' deathbed. She actually named one of them Viserys. Yes.
And one of them Aegon.
Yes.
Well,
so the youngest one is Viserys.
The younger.
Yeah, and the oldest one to Damon.
Aegon.
Is Aegon. Yeah. So that's the Aegon he was referring to on the deathbed. And when Mr. Big...
Yeah.
Well,
no, he on the deathbed he was referring to Aegon the Conqueror.
Yes.
Who's yeah.
But that's where
that's who they're all named after.
Yeah, Aegon.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But he would be we get further into the series, he will come into it. I'm sure they'll age him up a little bit.
But yes, they're married. So he's in battle mode. He's gearing up.
He's in battle mode. She's giving birth to her stillborn child. But she comes out of that, and now they're burying basically that child. And one of the Cargoyle twins arrives at this funeral and hands Rhaenyra the crown. And that's when they basically crown her queen.
So this is where they're also trying to find out who their allies are too. So they're trying to see who has pledged allegiance to Rhaenyra or is going to uphold the oath that they claimed or that they made back when she was named heir. And this leads to before they start going out and searching or sending messengers.
Otto comes again with big giant balls to Dragonstone.
Otto comes.
What the fuck? Otto's like, here I am again.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if you kill me.
Tries to make a deal. Shit
Prince
deal.
Aegon's here.
Yeah.
Shit deal. And again, mirroring it all.
On the bridge.
Otto's about to fight Damon again. Who shows up again?
Yeah.
It's Rhaenyra.
With the
dragon. She says, I'm not ready to make my mind up yet. Basically, right? Because he offers her, we're all going to be fine. Everyone's going to be good. Let Aegon be king. And everyone's fine. She says, I'll give you me fucking answer tomorrow. But in the meantime...
Corlys rocks up. He comes back.
Oh, Corlys is back from the dead.
He is. He's all healed. Comes in.
But he rocks up to Rhaenyra. Rhaenys first.
Well, no, Rhaenys is sitting by his bedside. Remember,
Rhaenys?
Yeah, Rhaenys. So he wakes up. They have a chat. He fills him in.
Oh, he hears
his
about
brother. Yeah, and his first decision is, and he's feeling guilty and responsible for being so ambitious and prideful. And his first decision
and for being such an adventurer.
Yeah.
Just like, you left me, motherfucker. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I just love going.
Yeah, I just like...
adventuring. And what a cool character. They need a young Corlys prequel.
They do, because he is a boss.
Yeah.
But anyway...
Fucking right, man. Yeah, Michael B. Jordan should play him. And he should fucking just rock his shit around everywhere. But anyway, we're getting on 3 hours now. Let's go. Yeah. But you're right. It seems like he's going to go a different way because he basically says,
"Let's just go back.
Let's get our shit, go back to Driftmark,
chill out,
and let's just chill."
Because
it's not our fight.
Yeah.
But she then says, however, Rhaenyra has promised her both boys to marry the girls.
Not only that, though. Yeah. Not only that,
and that she's a good leader.
Yes, and that's where she sees a lot of Viserys I think, in Rhaenyra there.
And herself, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she's seeing that they're so...
Rhaenys decided not to bloodshed too, right?
Yep.
And Damon hated her for that. It's like, why didn't you kill them?
Mm.
Why the fuck you were right in front of them? Why didn't you kill them? But Rhaenyra was like, it's not her decision. Like, Rhaenyra backed Rhaenys as well in that decision. And I think you're right. I think that's probably a bigger part of Corliss's decision.
Well, it was, I think he sees that, you know, she's not just going to go to war on a whim. She's not just going to throw people away on impulse. And that's when he goes into that, the war room, and he's talking to her, and you said...
Just before he goes in the war room?
Yeah.
Do you think Rhaenys and Corlys, they have a beautiful relationship, don't they?
They do.
They seem to kind of respect each other.
Yes.
And see each other as fucking bosses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they see each other on a high level.
Well, he...
Because she was the queen, I guess that never was.
Yes. And, you know, that's his motivation for pushing so hard with a lot of things. But you see that throughout the whole season with those two.
Yep.
They're very much involved with the decision making.
And equal. They're kind of like equals,
they are.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
back each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you were saying, Corlys goes in to the war room, back from the dead.
Yeah, I'm on your side. You've got my ships. You've got my soldiers. I've just reinforced, like in that last campaign that I got injured, I've just reinforced the whole, basically, they've got control of the water.
Yep.
Send your messengers out. So they send messengers out to up north, find the Starks.
Who are the messengers?
So the two messengers that fly out on dragons are Rhaenyra's two older sons. You've got
Jace and Luke.
Yes. Yeah. So Jace is going up north. He's going to visit the Starks. He's going to
visit Cregan Stark. We met Rickon Stark earlier on, right?
Yep.
Kind of sweared fealty to Rhaenyra back 8 years ago, whatever it was. But there's Cregan Stark who apparently is close to the age of Jacaerys, so that they'll kind of bond. She also sends him to the Vale. Now we won't get to see that.
No,
that'll happen next season, or we'll hear about it next season. What we see is Lucerys going to meet Lord Boris Baratheon in what's the Storm's End.
Yeah.
And when he gets there, Vinno, what does he meet?
So when he lands on his dragon and he's walking up to the gate, he hears a noise to his left and turns, and in the storm, because it's pissing down rain and stormy, over the walls, up pops their head. Forget the name of the dragon.
Granny Vhagar.
Granny
Oi,
Vhagar.
how good did he do in this series as opposed to Game of Thrones, to showing how different the dragons are, both in species and size? Like, you know, when Vhagar's there, oh, this is an unusually big fucking
huge.
And like you said, when he lands, he sees Vhagar as opposed to his little fucking horse, half
tiny, because he's still a juvenile. Yeah. Anyway,
but yeah, so he lands there. He sees the dragon. He knows Aemon's
that means,
here.
Yeah, that means Aemon is there before him. Goes in, gives a message. Boris turns around and goes, "No, fuck off! I'm not your lapdog." As he goes to leave, Aemon.
But wait, he says Aemon's offering me to marry
so
one of my daughters.
You've
got nothing.
Hightowers have offered a deal. Yeah. So.
And he's had nothing, and that's Rhaenyra's fault.
It is
for sending him there, and she sent him there just to be like, "Well, you swore an oath to me."
Yeah.
Instead of, "Well, here's a little bit."
Yeah.
That was a bad move on Rhaenyra's fault too. But anyway, he goes there, kind of like Vinno said. Boris Baratheon's like, "Piss off! You're offering me nothing." And then what happens?
Goes to leave. He goes to leave. Aemon calls him out and wants him to cut his own eye out in retaliation or revenge for his eye being cut out back when they were kids. They Lucerys refuses.
Call him Luke.
Yeah,
they call him Luke. Fuck it.
Luke refuses.
If they can call him it, we can call him
it. We can. Yeah. Luke refuses. Goes to walk out. Eamon gets the shits. Says he'll cut it out for him. Oh, Boris Johnson just turns around and goes, "Nah, it's not happening under mine."
Imagine it was Boris Johnson.
Goes,
I think Luceris would have lost an eye that night.
I think so. He says, "Not happening under my roof. Not happening."
He's an envoy.
Yeah.
He's a messenger. He's an envoy. Leave him be.
He's going.
Now, another cool thing that happened. Aemond ripped his fucking patch off and showed that he had that fucking emerald or whatever it was in his eye, that purple fucking stone.
Yes.
Aemond's turning into a bad fucking ass of the season.
Well,
he's turning into a badass.
And this is where it shows his recklessness. Luke goes out, gets on his dragon, goes to leave. Through the storm, you hear Granny Vhagar coming up around behind him. And Aemond essentially chasing Luke.
Teasing and kind of prodding him.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to scare Luke. You can see that Aemond's laughing, and I didn't really like the laughing because that made him seem too kind of evil or like villainy. But it kind of I think it kind of was trying to illustrate that he was just trying to scare him.
Yeah, he was chaotic.
I think he was just trying to scare him.
Yeah.
He's trying to scare Luke, saying, "Oh, I can get you whenever I want." And then Luke's dragon Arlax made a fatal mistake and did not listen to Lucerys. And he actually shot Granny Vhagar in the face with a bit of fucking dragon fire.
She was not happy.
And I think let's go back to episode 1 when Viserys told Rhaenyra the biggest myth is that we control the dragons.
Yep.
Dragons control us. I think we saw that the dragons in the end, they didn't give a fuck what the writer said. They just did what they did.
Yep.
And in retaliation for that, Granny Vhagar says, "Oh, get the fuck out of here," and fucking goes straight. Lucerys gets out into the open.
Stops moving, essentially.
Looks, we can argue about fucking get out of there, you dick. But Vhagar out of nowhere chomps him, and you can see that Aemond does not want this to happen. He's saying, "Vhagar, listen to me. Vhagar, obey me."
Well, Aemond realizes that he's fucked up, right? Because there's the deal on the table, and
she has the next day to reply to Otto Hightower.
Yep. They're wanting peace. They're trying to sue for peace. He has actively chased Luke, just to entice him, and then throughout that, Granny Vhagar has chopped Luke's dragon in half, killing both of them. Right? It went into pieces. So, and the look on his face is fuck. So
he's like, "What the? That Michael from The Office?"
Yeah, what the fuck have I done? He knows he's fucked up, right? So the next scene and the end of the season is we see Damon walking up to Rhaenyra, who's in the war room with her back to
Rhaenyra.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Not Rhaenys. Walks up, pulls her aside, and whispers in her ear. And you see her start to shake. And then
she holds her stomach again.
Yeah. She then turns around with this very menacing, and it's very much Daenerys type look. But in that
shit's going down.
She's lost her father, she's lost her baby, and now one of her sons in the space of a day. So
and Damon, gotta love this, right? This works for Damon too, because in the background, Damon's been like, "We got to get more dragons. We don't have enough dragon riders, but we've got more dragons. So I'm gonna go down." And he's whispering and trying to get all these dragons on his side. No, he's trying to. It's like, I'm getting ready for a big war. Rhaenyra is telling me to. And another thing, he choked her. A lot of the fandom is angry about, because they're like, "Oh, he was so good, and then he went bad again." And it's like, that's Damon. He's gonna get worse. Just so y'all know, okay? And he's going to get great again as well, because he's Damon. But this is good for Damon, because A, it's not one of his kids. And B, Rhaenyra's ready to roll now.
She's on board.
But I think Emma Darcy and Emma Darcy and both the actresses that played Rhaenyra were fantastic. But what she did great was turn that pain and the same when she grabbed her stomach, same kind of pain as that lost her stillborn. That translated then the anger. And you can see, okay, season 2 is going to start off big hellfire, because Alicent's not going to be happy with that. Alicent's going to hear what offered her. I had the paper. I gave Otto Hightower that paper to say, "Hey, I love you."
Yeah,
you know, Rhaenyra, because Alicent's. Remember, she thinks Viserys wants this.
Yes,
she thinks Otto wants this. She thinks Rhaenyra is just been groomed by Damon. She and now she's seeing Rhaenyra's attack her, and she's like, okay, everything's at peace now. What? We killed Viserys.
It's on.
I'll be interested to see what season 2 has in store for us. What do you think, Vinno? That's the end. That's the end. That's the last scene.
I'm not going to have any predictions. All right. I'm also.
We can't, can we?
No.
With knowing what we know, we can't.
Yeah.
But are you excited?
I am. It's certainly left it on the cliffhanger because we don't know where we're going to kick in. It has been a really good season 1, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where.
I think the time jumps are going to end now, though.
Yes. Oh look, season 1. Season one was
setting up the current cast, right?
Yeah, it's establishing, right? So now it's going to get into the war and the juicy stuff. So, but great cast, great season.
Yeah. What a thing.
Before we finish up,
who's your favourite character?
I was just going to ask you that.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say before we finish up, who's your favourite character?
My favourite character is King Viserys. Okay. I loved him. I thought he was absolutely amazing. Second close would be Damon. Okay, who do you reckon? Who's your favourite? Damon?
Yep.
Yeah. What a conflicting character, right?
Yeah, just an interesting character. Just, yeah, really. He's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Of a character, and you just don't know what you're gonna. Yeah, but he has got those.
He's a legend.
He is. Anyway,
favorite scene.
Would have to be the throne room scene when old Damon fucking gives him a bit of a.
My favourite Viserys with your favourite Damon coming together as brothers, like the Dave and Vinno show. And on that, everybody, stay tuned. All you House of the Dragon motherfuckers who are just joining us now, because if you're searching on YouTube, House of the Dragon season 1 review, and you find us, do lots of shit. But next year we're coming back with House of the Dragon season 2. Stick with us. Vinno, thank you. What an episode.
It's their longest one.
3 hours. Nearly 3 hours. Who knows with the cuts?
Well, then the ad breaks.
Are you ready for me to send it out then?
What's that?
Are you ready?
Oh, well.
Have you got any last words?
I'm out of beers.
Me too.
No, not really. I won't
Cheers,
go on
everybody.
Rant. Yeah. Look.
A little bit.
Good.
For the ladies, Vinno's got Rin is pregnant and she's letting him do this. My wife, we have a new fucking newborn and cheers to the ladies.
Cheers to the ladies. See you next week,
guys.
Cheers
to the ladies.
Peace.
Adios. Have a nice one.